think a lot of students have just gotten another sense of how to belong and how to create relationships outside of what were the traditional avenues.
And a lot of my students talk about how they feel safe in the esports program, and that's their family, that's their community. And I think that esports gives kids a future that they might otherwise not have.
Man, I wish that had been available when I was in high school.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to PlayVS. Once more, we have some League of Legends action coming at you from the great state of Hawaii. I'm, of course, Perino. I am joined once again on the desk by the Doctor. How you doing, Mike?
Once again, it's always fantastic to be back on the desk. I am excited for yet another best of three gracing us here now from the tropical island of Hawaii. Islands, I should say. But no, I'm excited. It is our joy to be here helping out, the wonderful people here at PlayVS and being able to display the prominence that these students are going to be bringing to the Rift.
And speaking of these students, we have two great teams here in this grand final. We have Moanalua High School. They'll be taking on Theodore Roosevelt High School here in this grand final, as we will show you the bracket on how they got there. These are two teams that have really battled it out, gotten this far, and you can see coming from perhaps unexpected places on the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, they've made it their way here. They have plenty of history here with PlayVS, with multiple members, with multiple seasons across the two teams. So these teams know exactly what to expect as they're going to be running into the bracket here. They don't have any room to wiggle anymore, though. This is the best of three that ends it all. The winner here becomes the state championship, and they are able to take that prestige home back to the school and make sure that they know that they won it all and that they put it all on the line to close it out here at the end of a long season.
Yes, of course, the prestige of Moanalua, they come into this matchup with a 7-1 record versus Theodore Roosevelt coming in at 7-3. So a bit interesting. We have two teams that are not perfect, right? We have no undefeated records, nothing crazy like that, but they have figured out any issues to get to this point. They're only one victory away from the state title. Yeah,
I mean, they've got to win 2 games, but it's the best of the series that counts. So as we head into the draft now, we're going to have to see what champions these teams are putting it all on the line with. We have seen some absolutely crazy drafts these last couple weeks from across the 50 states. Earlier today, we saw a Singed and a Yasuo on the same team. You never see that anymore, and it is great to interact with teams that are willing to go that extra mile and maybe potentially, play something that isn't normal. Once again, we do need to probably talk about what these teams are banning away. The meta, so crazy huge right now that you can pick just about anything. A lot of these teams are banning away for comfort rather than meta. Looking at these bans, it doesn't seem to be much different.
Yes, we already see the Udyr ban coming out for Theodore Roosevelt High. Clearly feels like either a target ban or a comfort ban, as you mentioned. Udyr not seeing too much play at the moment, but you never know. As we see just on the flip side with Moanalua, they're going to take away the Rakan.
Yeah, Rakan, Mordekaiser, a couple bans here that you probably would see on just about any top tier ban list. Both very spectacular at exactly what they're designed to do. Mordekaiser is going to win the top lane, push it through, and then become this really big team fight / objective controller, just doing exactly what he wants to do. Whereas Rakan, just absolutely one of the best engagers in the team. If you pair him up with a Xayah, just next to none. He gets so much utility out of his kit that he can really control games and really run away with it. And it looks like both teams are going to go ahead and start picking away their bottom lanes, with the Ezreal and the Aphelios being picked up.
Yes, Aphelios is one of the most interesting and unique champions in League of Legends. Obviously, one of the newest champions that Riot has put out. And his kit is a lot, to put it mildly. I don't want to go through the entire thing now because we could spend 10 minutes just trying to go over how everything works. But it's very difficult to master as the different sets, all the changes of weapons that he uses in that bottom lane. Very fun champion, very difficult champion. And I like the pick there from Moanalua to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it has a 100% win ratio here in Play Versus at the end of the spring season, but that doesn't mean it's unbeatable. There are opportunities and windows to really get into the champion, but you need to strike fast and you need to strike early. And I think that Theodore right now is picking up the champions to do it with. They picked up the Syndra, the Maokai. I've talked about how just influential this Maokai in the top lane can be, just being this unstoppable crowd control bot that can just survive the lane. Really, anything you put up against him, he doesn't struggle with too much, and he's just going to be able to farm up, become this big, Ent style creature, and just be able to tank everything, set up your carries for success, and then really control the objectives using his ultimate.
Yes, as we take an additional look at the conclusion of the ban phase, we're seeing a fair amount of jungle bans here at the end. So interesting, perhaps, no Warwick, no Mastery, obviously two very strong junglers, and we see Moanalua going with the Jarvan.
Yeah, very early game focused. Ooh, I actually love what Theodore Roosevelt has shifted to. The thought popped into my head when I was looking at these last couple bans here about, man, we haven't seen Maokai jungle in a while. It does still work. You can still clear relatively quick, but we see him typically in the top lane because of the gold efficiency that the solo laners get. But putting him in the jungle means that he doesn't have to worry about the 1v1, so it really didn't matter what Moanalua was going to want to pick into it. And so now, put him in the jungle, he's going to free farm for days. You've now set up this very interesting skill matchup in the top side between the Fiora and the Akali, which we haven't seen in quite a while, with Akali having been nerfed quite heavily after her rework. And so it kind of fell out of flavor for a little while. Now it does seem that Moanalua has picked it up for the top lane, and their team is very, very, damage focused. It depends on which Jarvan we're going to see, whether it's the Cinder Hulk or the Warrior. We've traditionally been seeing the Cinder Hulk in the Play Versus tournaments, but there's always room for a little bit more damage.
Can never have enough damage, right? That's the theory here that we've seen in these grand finals. Some teams are liking to just go all in on it. And the other interesting pick that I like as well here from Theodore Roosevelt is going with that Yuumi in the bot lane. Of course, she adds so much utility for her AD carry in that Ezreal. So Ezreal already a very mobile champion. Well, now you give him the Yuumi Zoomies, and he's going to be all over that lane. That's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a very prominent lane since Yuumi has come out. Just lots of poke, lots of survivability. It's very difficult to really lock these two champions down. They do have a really good composition for Moanalua to try and attempt to do so. The Aphelios and the Thresh can make the lane pretty difficult for the Ezreal to try and hop around, making great use of the Gravitum comboed with all of the Thresh crowd control. It will take them a couple levels to get there because they do need to spend out quite a bit of the first couple weapons from Aphelios, but once he starts getting that, things get a little bit more dangerous, and the opportunity to catch them unwavering might be a little bit better.
Already we see a little bit of an invade attempt here coming out for this Epic Zero squad, and well, it got caught out a little bit early. I think there was some good presence established in the jungle there. I don't think the Moanalua Prestige were going to be too caught up by that one.
Yeah, no, they had a good setup to try and make sure they weren't getting invaded upon. It works out quite well. They only do get the deep ward on Moanalua's red, but the counter ward was placed as well. Nobody really sticking around to try and, get an invade or potentially get a 3-buff start. Both teams are just going to reset back to their own sides, go for the traditional starts, make sure that everybody is in the best possible position here in game one, and we're going to have to see how this really evolves.
Nobody trying anything too adventurous yet. And that's something we see often, in these best of threes, particularly in game one, where even if, okay, you have a 5-man invade setup, if it doesn't go exactly perfect to plan, well, no sense to try anything too audacious. You are just sort of feeling out the first game here. You don't want to go too crazy.
Yeah, and we're seeing two different starts coming out from the junglers. Jarvan, Blind Eye starting on his bot blue side, going for an absolute full clear, going blue buff, Gromp, Wolves, before making his way towards the top side of the map. This is going to eat up most of the ward time on that red buff. If he starts with the chicken camp here, he will have the ward time out before he actually makes it to the red buff. So, you know, we are going to be able to see that from the blue side, they know that he hasn't taken his red buff yet, but they don't know where else he is on the map just yet.
Vision, the name of the game here early, obviously looking for those advantages wherever you can find them, as we see a bit of a kerfuffle in the top lane. And this is one that we touched upon a little bit in the draft, but it's so interesting. You have two very high, mechanically intensive champions in the Akali and the Fiora. Such a volatile lane to go into. These skirmishes and fights we see topside will probably go either way.
Yeah, we're going to have to see once things happen, once they get their first back items in. For now, there's going to see a lot of this happening, where the Fiora is going to try and start a fight, and the Akali is just going to be able to throw down the Shroud, become invulnerable, become hidden, and not have to worry about the engage. Just waits to farm up, tries to poke out with, you know, some E's and some Q's, making sure that, you know, the Fiora isn't full health for the entirety of the lane, and then try and get, once they hit 6, an Assassination Burst combo to try and win the 1v1.
We'll see just how successful that Fiora can be there. Bent, of course, working her in the top lane. And the other interesting thing that we're looking at here as well, if we take a look at the mini-map, that Jarvan is pushed fairly far into the opposition jungle. Hasn't really been called out yet. It looks like he might just come in, take a camp or two, and say, no thanks, I'm good.
Yeah, able to get a little bit of counter jungling in there, along with the top scuttle. So we can see by the CS numbers, he is a little bit ahead. We'll probably continue farming like that, because we do see the Maokai is a little bit focused on ganking.
And here we go. The first play is going to come in here as Phoenix yanks into that bottom lane. The Thresh has to flash out. He's ignited. Does he survive? Absolutely not. It's going to be the first takedown going the way of Royale. Not managing to follow up with the Aphelios, but it is the first play of the game and the first successful gank. Epic Zero. Well, they'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, really great usage of the Maokai Twisted Advance there to dodge out on the Flay. You do become untargetable, and so you do just kind of follow your opponent wherever they may go, even if they do decide to flash away. And really great damage coming out from the Ezreal pretty early on. You know, not exactly known for it, but there is the opportunity there that you can take an early fight and come out ahead.
And that will be the push that Theodore Roosevelt want in this game. Trying to get ahead, trying to establish some presence. It will be the first one going their way, but we've seen how these games can go. Even when you get an early advantage, it can be difficult still to snowball it all the way into a victory. This one, not too action heavy yet, definitely conservative approach being taken.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of scaling involved here on the teams. We do have to see who gets to their first item breakpoints first. And this is what I was talking about, this level 6 now coming out. Oh, man.
So close there was Cat on the Akali, trying to take down that Fiora. Fiora, of course, having to use her flash to get away there. And very, very close call. She's going to TP back into the top lane, try to catch that wave in the middle, and oh, she might even prevent the recall. That was lightning quick.
Yeah, not always expecting the comeback there from the opponent, but it is a little bit of waste of time. Because the Fiora doesn't have her Tiamat yet, though, she's not really going to be able to try and force that into the tower to lose out some CS. And you can see there, she just kind of waited her turn, and then the teleport coming in eventually from the Akali just to set it back to an even lane state.
As we take a view over into our bottom lane, I do like the fact that our Yumi player here, Deathcoke, you know, not unafraid to, you know, stay off the back of the Ezreal at times, perhaps trying to bait out one of those engagements as he you know, when you play Yumi, you don't always want to just stay right in the back of your champion. You do want to have a little bit of autonomy.
Yeah, I mean...
But here we go.
Man.
That was a huge counter jungle attempt there by the Jarvan. He manages to get the flash out of the Maokai.
Yeah, pretty big engagement there. Does, like you say, force the flash out, which removes a really dangerous portion of the Maokai kit. You know, if you can flash Twisted Advance, it can be pretty unexpected sometimes, and catching people off guard and making sure that you catch them out of position is very, you know, a big portion of the Maokai kit. Removing that aspect means that they no longer have a potential surprise factor. You know the range on their Twisted Advance, you know exactly when they're going to be able to activate it, and you can play around that range without having to worry about, are they going to flash me?
Ooh, here we go. This is a huge set of damage coming out from He in the mid lane on that Syndra. Getting that little bit of CC, and that is a pure 1v1 takedown again, going the way of the Epic Zero squad.
Yeah, we used to see a... Oh, no.
Oh. Will this get turned around? Oh my goodness. That Fiora is literally 1 HP. Oh, and the flash comes back in, and Ben turns it around, recognizing the aggression coming out of Cat on the Akali. And, oh my goodness, that was so close. Here comes another teleport in the top lane, as Syndra is just going to go in on Urnot, now forced to retreat back through the jungle. How far will they chase? Having to burn the flash away, finally. Urnot gets away. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the play there from the Akali, definitely very big-brained, was trying to flash the Q there from the Fiora, just trying to dodge out the damage. Unfortunately, the kunai from the Akali also went in the same direction as the flash, which means that the damage landed onto the Akali, onto the Fiora, which means that there wasn't enough damage to get the takedown there, unfortunately. And then the roam up there from the Victor, kind of shut out by the teleport out of He on the Syndra, who is kind of controlling the lane very effectively, making sure that the Victor is being forced under tower a lot, losing a lot of CS, isn't quite at that level where he can, you know, freely farm and try and start pushing these waves against the Syndra to get some roams in.
Well, as we can see here, Maokai is lurking in this bottom lane, but do they know that they're coming into 3, as the Yumi ult is going to just absolutely take down the damage there on Thresh. Ultimately, he'll fall. Royale trying to get away, and it's no good. Flashes burn left, right, and center, but it is Prestige. And Victor coming in with the double at the end there. Oh my goodness, the counterplay from Moanalua, just too good.
Yeah, huge opportunity lost there by the Epic Zero squad. The Yumi was not attached to anybody at the beginning of that engagement, had disconnected trying to land the ultimate onto the Thresh. Unfortunately, that meant that the damage option from the Jarvan was right on top of Yumi, getting that EQ combo into the knockup along with the Thresh box really locked down the support and really negated, you know, the typical Yumi impact that we are expecting to see. And from that point, you know, they were able to take down the Thresh, but after that, Ezreal had no HP left, had no opportunity to be in the fight, even flashing out of the Cataclysm to try and stay alive, but then found the Victor waiting for him in the bush, and Maokai with only that jungle item just simply didn't have, you know, the defensive stats to try and survive and get out of there.
Now, all of a sudden, what a game that seemed to be going the way of Epic Zero brought right back into contention here by the Moanalua Prestige, and this is, oh, dangerous now here. Perhaps his Cat's gonna be pulled right back into the path of that Fiora, who flashes back in, and Bent just says absolutely no way. A great roaming gank into the top lane will go the way of Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah, the Syndra, like I said, has priority in the lane, forced the Victor back, or saw the Victor backing, recognized that it was a perfect time to go on a little bit of a field trip, roamed all the way up top, made sure that the CC connected. They do burn both their flashes but when you're taking out an Akali and setting that champion farther behind, that's definitely worth it. You don't have that much to fear just yet until the Jarvan really starts getting involved in these other lanes.
You can see the pings coming out here. There's going to be a fight breaking out over this rift. It looks like Phoenix will pick it up, but at what cost? Blind Eye just goes right in. Ultimately, it's Earn Out on the Victor who earns the credit for that takedown there.
Now, this is like a semi-worth play. We won't truly know how worth until we see the Herald usage. If they're able to get a tower takedown with it, and even potentially the first brick with it, super worth. You definitely are not going to worry about trading your jungler's life early in the game to potentially get that first brick with the Heralds. Right now, we do need to see what lane they would best be able to use it in. The mid lane, while having been pushed basically the entire time, still has full plates available. They don't have to, or they would have to work quite hard to try and get a first brick on that with the Herald while the plates are still up. They, do have only about 40 seconds left on the plates, but it's still a full HP tower essentially. Down bottom lane, they've taken a plate. It's not as, full HP as every other one on the map. And with how well this Ezreal Yuumi has been able to push the lane in aggressively, they could potentially, rush it down bottom. We see the enemy team backing here. The pings are under the Maokai, but now if they had vision of that back, they could just run down, pop the Herald, and potentially get that first brick bottom.
We'll see where that Maokai decides to drop the Herald. Phoenix, of course, working on his own jungle, trying to clear out the camps as best he can, so we'll see the play that he decides to make as he finishes out that buff there. And I think he still could go bottom with this. We do mention, of course, having the recall out there. That bottom lane is pushed up all the way. They may try to make a play. We'll see how that develops, but it is getting pinged out by the Prestige, so they may know that this is coming.
Yeah, the ward control this game has been absolutely fantastic. We have seen so many control wards being picked up by both squads. Looking right at the Epic 0-1 already, you can see 4 control wards across 3 players at 14 minutes into the game. That is simply unheard of. Having every member of your team supporting and contributing to the Vision game like that means that you're not in danger of ganks. You're not in danger of losing an early dragon to surprise. You're not in danger of, your own jungler being caught unawares. You're making sure that everybody on the map knows exactly where everybody is at most of the time.
Ooh, as we see here, this could be a fight breaking out in the mid lane as he's just going to get dropped by You're Not. Going to try and flash back in and pick up 2. Phoenix is caught out, will not get away. Aphelios picks up credit there. And Moanalua 2 for 0 in that mid lane. They will take that every single time.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Syndra just trying to make sure that, they weren't on vision. They knew they were on a control ward. They do end up getting caught out by the Victor field. And so they end up, losing the dragon over it in the end. But, I don't know, that's just a really great play coming out of Prestige.
Very nicely done from them as we can see Cat in the top lane trying to fend off that Fiora as best he can. See, oh, no recall here from Ben. He fakes the recall, and the Cat's gonna have to flash back out of the way, but will re-aggress. Oh, it's so close. Both champions so low, but a Cat finds Ben. Oh, the decision to stay. What looked so good initially, but did not play well in the end.
Yeah, really taking advantage of that empowered auto attack from the Akali, jumping back out just to make sure they were able to get the proc. It's essentially a free Lich Bane. We see the Herald being popped in the middle lane, but it's not going to be able to get more than a charge. And even now, it's looking like it might not even get that. Already super duper low. And, alright. So remember how I talked about we'll have to see how worth that Herald was? No longer worth. You lost your jungler for it. You didn't get anything out of it. No plates, no tower, nothing. Just that, unfortunately, ends up not being worth in the slightest. and it's a really great boost to Prestige, not financially, but definitely morale based. And you know, they know that it didn't work out. It was a play that wasn't together.
Absolutely. As you look at the scoreboard on top there, you'll notice that this Prestige team, they have picked up both Drakes that have been up so far. So if you know, in terms of that play, not only just the individual play for the jungler, right, but also just, you know, on the highest macro level, being able to have 2 Drakes to the 1 Rift Herald, and the Rift Herald doesn't even get a charge off, that's a position you want to be in, as we see Cat and Bent here looking to try and take each other down once again, but Cat might be in an issue here as Phoenix is going to step up on that Maokai. Not a ton of damage coming out. Oh, and the big rotation from the bot lane here as well. Ultimately,
Yumi able to
nothing
make
doing.
it. Yeah, Yumi being able to make it up there to the top to save their top laner, pretty impactful. The Rift Herald is going to be spawning in about 10 seconds. They'll have almost 2 whole minutes to be able to take it down, so I definitely foresee them doing so, especially with how hard they're hanging around. They could potentially be trading this for the bot tier 1.
Oh my. That is not a position you want to be in. Izumi, you're around absolutely no one, as they will take that pick there as a huge fight breaks out now. Oh, Phoenix is going to slay LFB on that Thresh, but will they push for more? No, it is a 1-for-1 as we look into the mid lane. Oh, goodness me. Both
You hate to
champions
see
there
that.
actually finding the takedown on each other. In the pure 1v1, well, ends up in a draw, 2-for-2 overall.
Yeah, they end up losing the Herald and trade it for that bot tier 1. So first brick going over to Epic Zero, while the second Herald and a couple takedowns goes over to Prestige. Overall, again, it kind of depends on what this Herald gets done. If it gets a tower, then you're slightly ahead. If it doesn't get a tower, you're slightly behind. I do feel that it's potentially not as impactful as that first Herald could have been, since both teams got something out of this, whereas the first Herald, only Prestige got anything out of it.
We'll have to see where Shelly gets dropped a second time here, as we see a big engagement now. Royale is rotated topside with Izumi and is going to take down Cat. Ultimately, Deathcoat gets the credit on the Yumi. And well, just like that, you see how pivotal those rotations can be. Akali getting shut down there.
Yeah, I mean, this Ezreal Yumi combination, very strong, not just survivability, but they do pretty good damage. The takedown obviously ended up going over to Coke there with the Ignite. Oh no.
Oh, and 2 players jumping out over the wall for that blast code. Phoenix is not going to be happy about that 3v1. Reedon picks up 1 there as the topside turret falls for Moanalua. And wow,
Yeah.
some good plays there.
Unfortunate timing with the dragons spawning in 10 seconds now. Phoenix isn't going to have respawned before the dragon's up, and we can already see Jarvan on his way down. That'll be the 3rd dragon of the game for Prestige, being able to pick up the Infernal Drake 1, setting up Soul Point for a potential Infernal Soul is massive. Epic Zero unfortunately don't have the champions right now to contest this dragon. No smite available. The dragon's already dead.
That was close. If you're going to try it, that's one way to go do it. As they jump over the wall, Your Not will pick up 1 there. Interesting call to try and jump in once the dragon had fallen. Oh, and here we go again. Yumi with that huge ultimate. Oh, but a great flash there on the part of the Thresh. He will manage to escape just barely.
Yeah, the slow field there from Victor, keeping his support alive for another day. They don't lose any potential there. Now, yes, this is a pretty big push onto the tower, but with both... Oh, man. All right, they do get a takedown there onto the Aphelios. All right. Not too much burn for it either. They do just get, the Syndra ultimate and a couple auto attacks out of the Ezreal to come out ahead.
That feels like the plight of the AD carry right there. You're under your own tower, you're just trying to defend from range, and all of a sudden you just get jumped on and get vaporized. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's how the game works when you have a Syndra on the enemy team. He ended up surviving the Syndra burst, but then the Ezreal there, being able to land a Mystic shot, really drove it home. And they ended up getting the middle tower as well, which is pretty good. Right now, we're just seeing the typical 1-3-1 setups that most teams employ about this stage of the game. The two mid laners have gone bottom. Top laners are still top. And then the bottom lanes have made their way to the mid lane. Thankfully, Epic Zero do have their mid-tier 1 to back them up, so they don't necessarily need to worry too much about being aggressed upon by this Jarvan.
Oh, and you can see there, this Epic Zero squad, they want the fight, and they're going to get it. The Blind Guy's going to take down Royale. That's a huge pick onto the Ezreal. As we see now, the Fiora re-aggresses back in and manages to pick up one. LFB so low on that Thresh, it's no good. They popped Shelly here, who's just lurking around this fight, but Phoenix is going to jump in and ultimately set up the double here for he on that Syndra. And, well, Shelly does get a charge, but that'll just about do it there. Oh my goodness, 4 for 1 for Epic Zero.
Yeah, that was a really odd fight. We saw the Jarvan pop the Shelly, Eye of the Herald there, and then Royale decides to throw out the True Shot Barrage right in front of the entire enemy team. Bit odd, but Ifby then just able to land a death sentence, and from there, it looked like it was really going to go Prestige's way. They caught the enemy AD carry and support, got him trapped in the Cataclysm. Their jungler's there too, who is kind of squishy at this stage of the game. Everything looked like it was going to be a quick turnaround. As soon as the Herald was popped, I thought that Epic Zero was going to be able to hold out and potentially deny the charge again. Unfortunately, like I said, they got picked, and what looked like a really bad fight for Epic Zero ended up completely turning around due to the quick roams by their mid and top laners, who were able to respond into the mid lane much quicker. They do end up getting a Shelly charge out of it, but I mean, we were talking about a disastrous Shelly charge from the first one. I think this one was so much worse. They ended up, like you said, losing 4 for 1. So much gold going into the enemy's hands. And with you not getting anything except for the one takedown onto Royale, that hurts. That's pretty demoralizing.
Certainly is tough, but we've said it many a time here. This is still a very even game. You know, you look at even just the gold difference up top. It's only roughly a 2,000, 3,000 gold difference. You know, caster math is hard, but you know, very much level right there. You look at the individual CS numbers across, you know, the lanes on the bottom, fairly even across the board. Nobody too far ahead. You know, these have been traded out. Really, for Prestige, who I'm looking at, is the Victor. 5-1-2 in the mid lane. You know, just about level with Syndra CS. If you're looking for the impact champion, you know, if you're looking for the carry, that might be the way they turn.
I do think that the teams have evened out. I know you mentioned the gold difference between the two squads, but just map control wise, it seems like Epic Zero have really kind of pulled it together. You know, they've brought a little bit something else to the team. They do seem to be winning these fights a little bit more effectively, but now with the dragon definitely had been started, getting a great check out using that True Shot Barrage. I think the call now is just rush the dragon. You know, they know that they're not actively onto the Baron. It's, you know, Infernal Soul if they don't take the dragon away, and you can see that they agree. They're going to go ahead, take their first dragon of the game, and you know, there wasn't really anything for Prestige to be able to do at that point because they'd kind of gone all in onto the Baron play.
Very, very nice macro decision there from Epic Zero. We're going to see Royale just push in with this Yumi. He's actually going to pick up the stun on the Thresh, and he will get absolutely annihilated out of the game. A double for Ezreal. Can he get a third? Not quite. He will take that one instead. Oh my goodness, you can see the raw damage output from that Ezreal. Absolutely absurd.
Yeah, 2.5 item Ezreal hits like a truck. Being able to just rush forward in that mid lane like we just saw there, really accentuated by the Yuumi, being able to keep him alive and just have that crowd control that the Ezreal's kind of missing, yet still having all of the mobility that the champion brings to the table is huge. Pump that out with the 2-item spike that Ezreal has in the current game, and they just run right through the 3 members mid. They bring the rest of the team together, push through that middle inhibitor, take that for themselves, and now they're going to be going on a bit of a hike. They want to make sure that they take as much possible from the opposing team while also making sure they clear out some vision. They're going to reset now and potentially set up for what could be the Baron stall. You know, they are only on the 1 dragon, so they're a little bit behind when it comes to stats just due to the Mountain Drake being on the side of Prestige. But when you have an Infernal Drake, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You've won the last couple fights as well. You're starting to get a lot of items in your pocket. You're starting to get a lot of damage in your pocket. You're really feeling good coming into these next couple fights.
Oh, but here we go. Blind Eyes is going to try and go in on that Jarvan as we get the double teleport top lane here. Oh, Epic Zero, they have the answer. Can they follow it up? That's a huge amount of damage coming out now as Bet picks up 1. The follow-up as well. They deny a sec. Oh, goodness, Royale's on a rampage. It is a clean ace for Epic Zero. They do end up losing the Syndra. Oh, my goodness.
But they're able to keep alive both of their AD carries with super minions already in the base. That should be game 1 going over to Epic Zero in what seemed like a super back and forth match. They're able to clutch it out towards the end, win very crucial team fights, and really kind of snowball it into the victory that we see here. And they're going to be going ahead 1-0 in this best-of-3 series.
What I loved from that Theodore Roosevelt Epic Zero squad was they made perfect decisions at the end of that game. Their macro play, absolutely unbelievable. It was, as you mentioned, very, very even, you know, working through the early game and through that mid game, but man, they just, at the end, they just had everything snuffed out. They denied the Baron, they took the Drake, and then they just teleported into that team fight. They recognized the opportunity, and they just absolutely rolled with it. Credit to them. I really think that as a team, they pulled together at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ezreal being so big at that stage of the game was really crucial to the game plan they wanted to execute. The Ezreal, we saw him get jumped on a couple times with the Yuumi still attached. Both times, the Jarvan trying to get the engage, lands the Flag and Drag combo into the Cataclysm, but then at that point, it seems like either he went too hard and didn't have any backup, or the Ezreal just did so much damage that he burned right through the Jarvan, who was in this pseudo tank build, and once that Jarvan went down, there wasn't anybody left to frontline, and so the front to back team fight, typically those last 2 fights was Jarvan, Victor into the Aphelios, and the whole team was just very squishy, and that Ezreal was connecting with every single Mystic shot, and once you complete that Mirror Mana and the Trinity Force, they spike so hard. And even that very last fight, we saw that flash scout of the week coming in from the Syndra, just barely landing onto the Thresh there, and that was just another goal point. Once that connects, the fight's not over yet. They push right through. They end up getting the ace, and they didn't even need the Baron at that point. They took 1 dragon and no Barons, and they won in like a 27-minute game.
It is beautifully, beautifully played by Epic Zero, but we'll be taking a short break here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 of the Hawaiian State League of Legends Finals will be next. We'll be right back.
I think a lot of students have just gotten another sense of how to belong and how to create relationships outside of what were the traditional avenues.
And a lot of my students talk about how they feel safe in the esports program, and that's their family, that's their community. And I think the esports gives kids a future that they might otherwise not have.
Man, I wish that had been available when I was in high school.
I was always told growing up, it's gonna rot your brains, it's a waste of time. And then like now I see where esports is at, and my family and I at home, we watch the League of Legends Championship. One of the students here at BC, he came to me and said, hey, we're really interested in starting an esports team. Like BC needs an esports team, and can you help us? I was a little bit apprehensive because I did not play video games and I wasn't sure what it would all entail. But then that same student came to my door almost every day the first week of school and said, have you talked to the principal? What's going on with the esports team? It's really because of the students. They were the ones that I felt like, because they're so interested, I think I can do this. My team, they never played League of Legends before, and them going from starting out just at the basic beginnings to now they're in the 30s and seeing how their team work, they're strategizing, and they've basically taken ownership of our team and run with it. It's been fantastic. At our school, leadership is really encouraged and admired among the students. With esports, my students get an opportunity in a different way than what maybe traditionally would be thought of as this is a leadership role you would have. So we have a team captain, we also have a team coach, and they really work really well with the students to kind of bring them together, and they are the ones that outside of school, they're practicing. We get 3 hours of practice a day. They come in at 7 a.m. in the morning, and they're waiting for me. They're like, hey, we're ready to go. Can we come in? Can we practice? Originally, we were practicing 3 days a week, and they were like concerned they weren't getting enough practice. They were like, can we do more? Can we squeeze in another day? So they wanted to do 5 days a week, but I was like, let's start with 3, let's build up to 4, and if we make it to playoffs, then we'll go to 5. They are just so motivated to kind of like take ownership of it. They basically decide beforehand what their bands are, who's doing what position, because I really would not have that kind of knowledge. And even though I don't play as much as they do, you know, you have to admire somebody who's built up their skill set. They've had to put in a lot of time and energy in order to be so good. And then when I play, I go like, wow, this is a lot harder than it looks. It has been wonderful watching how good my students have gotten in such a short amount of time.
One of the greatest things is getting an email about how excited a parent is that their student is involved and is having a great time and wants to talk about their esports experience. I've always been a gamer. I usually wanted to play the single-player role-playing games and the WoW and StarCraft. I didn't really know a lot about esports. I didn't realize the extent of how large it was. Our athletic director walked into my office. He's like, just watch this video. It was a promo reel that said, esports is coming or something, games to be announced, and it was this hype video. And I was like, we have to do this. He's like, I don't have a coach. I was like, oh, when do we start? How do we do this? I would say that I'm actually stepping into the students' field. This was especially the case in season 0 and 1 with the seniors who have been playing for years. I was there to coach in the sense of be an organizer, be an encourager, be there to try and instill the elements of sportsmanship and athletic conduct. But I know and recognize that some of these players know more about these sports than I do. And I can let them be teachers as well to the new kids. And so having that relationship, that partnership with those students has been really important. It's been really exciting to be on the beginning of this program to say, let's see what happens and see where it goes and learn along the way and have an outlet for students who have many, many different interests, but maybe this one aspect of what they love doing hasn't really been given an outlet yet. And to say, we know you love all these other sports, but you're also really talented at this, or you want to be talented at this, and you can. And there's an avenue for that. The reception from parents has been fun in its own right. Parents say esports, like, what is this, video gaming? And the answer is, yeah, it is. That's the entry point. But I'd love for you to come to practice, or Check out some of these videos and these stats, and let me show you the difference that we're trying to create here. When a parent comes and sees a game, specifically like League of Legends, from start to finish and goes, I had no idea that that's the level of intensity and the level of dedication that it takes to play one game, and the endurance that it takes to do this and to communicate as a team. Like, I had no idea. Seeing that reception and that flip is really exciting, because then they're all in. It's been interesting to see the elements of other traditional sports: communication skills, sportsmanship, conduct, planning, strategy, skill, and mental athleticism. All of these things feed into creating an esports program and creating students into athletes. It's just been really fun to watch them progress really, really fast by having that team dynamic to fall upon.
Pump up some bass.
And welcome back, everybody, to PlayVS. I am Budget Freak. I am joined by my co-host, the Doctor.
But it's a little weird to hear it out loud. But yeah, I mean, we're back. Game one was a really great setup coming out from that Epic Zero squad, making sure that they got the right people ahead and really managed it throughout the mid game, making sure they didn't overstep too hard, really making sure they dotted the T's and crossed the I's, before they were able to take out the W. So as we head into game two, I fully expect a Yuumi ban. Ezreal, while problematic, can be solved. Ezreal Yuumi, though, can't be solved, but Yuumi, I feel like, is the problem with that duo. The Ezreal, yes, does a lot of damage, yes, is very slippery, but a lot of the shenanigans that Ezreal, accomplishes are benefited by the Yuumi, whereas the Yuumi also really accentuates other portions of the team. With the zoomies, if you speed up the mid laner that you're trying to pick out, all of a sudden they survive in a situation they may not have. So I definitely think you ban away the Yuumi.
Yes, as we will see the changes that each team makes in just a moment here, coming up for game number two. I don't know what the strategy will be here for Moanalua. They were really very much neck and neck through the majority of that game, but you could tell at the end when that Epic Zero squad were able to, work through their macro game and start taking objectives and pushing team fights the right way. Something just clicked at the end of that game. And yeah, I'm interested to see the direction they go, as we see the first ban already is going to be the Syndra.
Yeah, really strong mid laner. The Syndra Victor matchup is something that a lot of mid laners are going to be very familiar with. Every time Victor hits a good port of the time, he seems kind of broken because he gets played everywhere at that point. So you're very familiar with that as a mid lane player. This time they just decided to ban it out, followed up with the Yuumi. Definitely agree. Lots of different play styles that can be brought on by the Yuumi pick availability. And right now, Theodore, Roosevelt High, just really sticking with the same bans. These hyper carry jungler picks that we've seen multiple times in the past weeks really be able to take off with a game. Just this week, even we saw both a Master Yi and a Hecarim really solo carry games. Lulu, a great final ban, another one of those really supportive hyper carry style supports. They really fit well with a lot of marksmen, especially some of the more scaling ones. Gives them a little bit of earlier power / survivability, so that potentially you don't get one shot or smashed down into lane too hard. What was left up, however, is the Udyr, and it looks like Moanalua is going to go ahead and select that for themselves.
Yes, it's such an interesting one. You can tell, obviously, previously we had questioned it, okay, where are they going after the Udyr? Well, it seems that it is a priority pick for this Moanalua team, and they will go that way, of course. Roosevelt High responding with the Ezreal, of course. Great success in the last game. Should be set up again for success, but to the point, no more Yuumi, so they're going to have to try and figure out another way to get that Ezreal going.
Yeah, I mean, no Yuumi, no Lulu. Doesn't look like they're going to be picking their support here in the first round of picks either, which really opens up more bans to be focused at that position. However, support's probably one of the most open positions available. You can pick enchanters, you can pick tanks, you can pick mages. So unless you really have, bullseye on the opponent's picks, it can be pretty difficult to ban it away super effectively. If the opposing support is only known for these enchanters, which seems to be the call, we're banning away Yuumi, Lulu, Nami. They finish it with a Leona, but I mean, that's 4 support bans being thrown the way of Epic Zero, and there's still potentially a million different picks they could pick. They could go Tom Kench, they could go Braum, they can go Zyra, they can go Janna, they can go Misfortune if they really want to. Like, there's so many picks left available. Morgana, the other really clutch one that we've seen so much of lately. That Black Shield already looking like it's going to be coming in pretty handy.
Yes, that is one way to work around the support bans is just simply come up with more tricks out of the hat, as we can see the answer here from Moanalua. I like this one as well, going Tarek, and looks like a Cassiopeia as well. So, yeah, I think this is a strong draft from Moanalua. I think they've come up with some decent answers. We can see the last pick, the TF for Roosevelt High. So, yeah, this is shaping up to really be a really interesting one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern with this Moanalua draft so far is we're going to have to wait and see how quickly they can get this Vayne and the Cassiopeia going. Two typically very late game style champions, both needing multiple items to be effective, whereas heading into, this Epic Zero team, Darius, Maokai, Twisted Fate, Morgana really don't need items. Like, even the Israel spikes at 2 items. Yeah, they're kind of expensive, but like, it's only 2 items, whereas typically on a Vayne, you would need Blade of the Ruined King, Ginsu's to be really considered online. Sometimes even before that 3rd item, she can be kind of weak. Cassiopeia, getting 2 items is great. You get your Cephers. I can't remember the Mana Rod name. It's blanking on me. But you get your mana item going, then you follow up with a Rylai's, and really then you start coming online. That 3rd item, the Haunting Guys into the Leandrius spikes again, and all of a sudden you're online and just doing tons and tons of damage. But you need to get to that point. We're going to probably see very early aggression coming out from Phoenix once again on this Maokai, really making sure to drive down these hyper carries that Moanalua wants to, bring up with them. And so if it makes it to 30 minutes, Moanalua is just going to win. There's just no doubt about it in my mind. They'll have the Shen to support whichever hypercarry gets caught first. They'll have the Tarek just to bring out the full team-wide invulnerability. But they need items. They really need to, be able to farm effectively and efficiently and make sure that they do come out ahead in these lanes, or else just the overwhelming damage and tankiness that Epic Zero has built up in their champion picks is just going to roll right over them.
And yes, and just a clarifier for anyone watching out there, it is not a double Vayne pick for Moanalua. It is an Udyr. There we go. See, right as I said it, coming in clutch for me. Yeah, so that is an Udyr hanging out in the jungle. I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I think the mid lane matchup in particular could really go either way. Of course, TF is a champion who provides a lot of different avenues of attack, right? The different cards, the different sets can really be hit or miss, though. It's difficult to get away if you get jumped on, so I think there's going to be a really tough battle in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, Blind Eye does have his targets predetermined for him. It's going to make his jungling gank route very simple. You're going to gank mid. That's it. That's all you got to do. You're Udyr. You farm your camps, you gank mid, you take out the TF, get that Cassiopeia super duper fed, and then she carries the game for you. There's really no point in him trying to gank either of these other lanes. The Darius makes so much trouble for the Shen, who will probably be relatively squishy for the first 5 levels or so. Then once he hits 6, he becomes more of a roaming top laner and trying to support his bottom lane and his mid lane. So you don't want to try and end up ganking the top lane, giving up a double kill. Udyr doesn't build very tanky until later on. He's very damage focused early on, trying to get those early accelerations. And then the bottom lane, it's Morgana Ezreal. Ezreal's going to Arcane Shift away from the Udyr. The Black Shield is enough to block out at least one of the stuns between the Udyr and the Tarek. So it's going to be really difficult to try and gank that lane as well. So Udyr really just needs to look at mid lane, gank the Twisted Fate, who cannot get away, and just go from there, let the Cassiopeia carry.
Well, we will see how it all shakes out here. Game number 2, we have the Moanalua Prestige on the blue side, the Roosevelt High School Epic Zero on the red side. Can Moanalua come up with a game point here, or will Roosevelt High end the series here on game 2? We'll have to see, as no 5-man invade at the start of this one.
Yeah, no, they're just going to stay normal. Let both bot laners leash for their jungler, make sure they get a decent start. The Maokai didn't go for that topside start that we saw last game, but that was probably, he was worried about getting ganked at his buff. Had watched the earlier Massachusetts series, in which case that happened. But no, I mean, this time though, no early vision wards coming out from either team. They just make sure that the junglers are able to keep their buffs their own, and they're gonna, you know, come to lane at the same time.
Makes it very easy to set up on the call here. Nothing too adventurous going on, as you know, we can take a look across all the different lanes, see what's what and where. Nothing too crazy yet, but already you can see in the top lane, at least, you know, with this Darius and Shen, it's a lot of poke, a lot of back and forth. It was a pretty even matchup in the last game, I thought, in the top lane. You know, the Akali going up against the Fiora, and this is just a very, very different style of play.
Yeah, this is a really incredibly difficult lane for the Shen. He just gets obliterated at every step of the way. You know, even having the anti-auto attack field, you don't really need auto attacks that much as the Darius. Plus, if you save your apprehend for after it pops, you can actually pull him out of it and smack him a couple times there. And, you know, a lot of the early Darius play coming in is going to be harassed with his decimate on the Q, you know, make sure that the Shen is not having a good time, and set it up for, you know, once you hit 6 and you get that finisher, you're able to dunk on him and just, you know, take control of the lane from there.
And I mean, it's Darius. It's one of the most, you know, difficult champions to play against in the top lane as it is, and for all those reasons you mentioned, just a very tough matchup in the top. But looking across the board here, no real presence being established yet. We can see perhaps this Udyr getting spotted out, and may see a kerfuffle happen on the top side river. Nothing crazy though.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me that Prestige is willing to sacrifice their top laner for the betterment of the team when that topside matchup did go fairly even, like you were saying. You know, the Akali did end up losing, and because of the champion pick, didn't seem like they did too much at the, you know, towards the mid and end of the game. Unfortunately, that's just Akali right now. But to go from that to directly sacrificing your top laner, you know, to make sure that your two carries in both the mid and bot can survive, it is a gamble, I feel. You know, there is potential where, you know, Cat would have been able to carry this game. But like I said, they're putting him on the Shen, making sure that, you know, you're here to keep our Cassiopeia and the Vayne alive. It is a protect the carry composition where we're all very familiar with this strat. You know, we've seen it for years now, where you pick the super hyper carry and you pick multiple champions to try and keep them alive.
Oh, but this could be problematic here for Brain. He's going to have to duck dive and roll away from that one, as Coke and Royale will try and step up and make the play here with that Ezreal Morgana combo, but no worries. LFB standing up on that Taric saying, I don't think you'll get to my AD carry just yet.
Yeah, still a good amount of damage done. Great Black Shield there onto Coke to make sure that, you know, they're not caught out.
Oh, but here we go. That's going to be a flash and a heal burned away. Coke cannot survive, though. It will be the first takedown going the way of the Taric, who then flashes away and blind eyes here as well. Reddit ultimately is credited for the takedown, but a huge play for the Prestige. 2 for 0 in that bot lane.
I honestly didn't see the Udyr. I saw the flash animation, all of a sudden the big bear man on my screen, and just really great 2-0 there coming in for Prestige, you know, getting the Taric stun onto the Morgana just in front of the wall. You could not ask for a better positioning to condemn off of. Really securing that down and making sure that they force, you know, all of the summoner spells being burnt out from the Epic Zero bottom lane. You know, they get the heal and both flashes, and then they get a dragon on top of it, and it's a Cloud Drake. That's 10% ultimate cooldown reduction for a team that has Shen, Taric, and Cassiopeia.
To say that is a very instrumental play in this game would just be putting it mildly. As but here we go, the response here from Epic Zero. Morgana's just going to step right in and try and get Max down. He's having absolutely none of it, though, on the Cassiopeia. Will just slither and slide away from the tower. not wanting too much to do with that one. Nearly caught out by that Morgana, but not enough for a takedown.
Yeah, I mean, they get the Flash and the Shen ultimate there, though, which is absolutely huge. Getting that first Shen ultimate out and forcing him to not get anything out of it is so big. It has such a long cooldown at level 1 when you have no items completed. It's ridiculously how unfortunate it is for him to not even get, like, lane priority afterwards.
Oh, but
there's no Flash on the Tarek.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, no Flash available. Just kind of stuck there.
And well, when you're a Tarek, you know, 3v1 in that Dragon Pit, not too much you can do about that, as he will just get caught out. So, you know, that's almost a gift really for Epic Zero there. Once they see that, and you know, there's 3 of them stepping up into it, the damage output for Tarek isn't there. It doesn't have any help. No flash. As you can see, Phoenix, well, he has his flash up, and he'll go right after Max here in the mid lane, trying to work him down. Ultimately, he finds the takedown there. Great gank in the mid lane.
No flash available means you get Twisted Advanced upon, not able to drag the Maokai back under the tower. And this is kind of what I was talking about. Now the apprehend in, Cat forced a flash away, but he's actually going to get taken down.
Brent going absolutely monstrous on that Darius. We talked so much about it before the show as well on that Darius, where when you get him going against the Shen, there's just simply not much to be done about it. Brent recognizing he had the opportunity there to go after Shen, no flash available, and well, there you go.
Yeah, that is going to be the rest of that Shen's life now. There is no position in that lane he can really hang out without being abused. Anytime he steps away from his tower, he's just going to be getting, you know, decimated, apprehended, just slowed up. It's really difficult for him to try and now progress in this lane. And if the Darius is smart, if Ben's smart about it, he can set up a freeze towards his own side of the map and force, you know, Cat to either get help from his jungler to try and crash the wave in and, you know, get it back to even, or he's just going to lose out on CS and money. And when you're a Shen who needs to hit these level points, you know, at 11 and 16 to get the increased cooldown on your ultimate, that's not something you can risk. You need to be in range for every bit of experience.
Lane priority will be massively in favor of the Darius here, but here we go in the bot lane. That's a great route onto Brandon, but no real follow-up. Ezreal pushed all the way back into his tower, just trying to repel the wave as best he can, so great binding from the Morgana there, but no follow-up action just yet. It can be hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a rough lane. You already have the Vayne ahead. You do have the Fear of the Tarek stun into both members of the Epic Zero bottom lane, and so they are playing very far back, and with Boots and a Cutlass already completed for the Vayne, able to push pretty effectively. And look at this. This is that top side I was talking about. You can't Twilight Shroud the Decimate there from the Darius, so it doesn't really matter what you do in that lane. You're going to get injured.
Oh, but here we go. Here's the play from the Prestige. They're going to try and go in on Phoenix here in the jungle as that Maokai. Can he survive? He's taking a ton of damage, but he will ultimately fall. Brayden gets the credit, and here they go. They're going to follow on Coke here as well. Dark Shield out of the Morgana, trying to stay away, trying to stay alive. She pops her ultimate as well, trying to turn it around. She will not get it, but he...
Oh, no.
Oh! No, and the Cassiopeia Max ultimately finds the Morgana.
Yeah, I mean, just throwing that Q over the wall there, making sure that, you know, the Morgana regrets stepping forward like that. But, I mean, yeah, 2 quick takedowns in favor of Prestige, going on to the carries, making sure the right people are getting the money.
League is often a game of economics. How fast you can accrue gold, and can it go to the right places? Every decision, of course, being important in that regard, as we can see Brent here just clearing out some vision, trying to help out his team take the next objective, but already it looks like this Epic Zero squad, they're just going to try and take this dragon.
No contest coming in. from Prestige. Nobody really in position with both the bottom lane support and the mid laner back in base. We do get a Mountain Drake for this game. No Infernal this time, but that means that whoever can secure the soul gets 3 Mountain Drakes, increasing their resistances, along with a nice little shield that regens every couple seconds.
Those little extra buffs and bonuses can be the difference between life and death here on the Rift. Every objective crucial. This Udyr might be trying to make a play on the top side, but he has to be careful. He might get caught out here. There is vision in that bush, and well, here we go. Brent and he are just going to rotate into it. Udyr's stunned, can't get away, and Brent has just gone absolutely crazy. He gets the credit in the end, but here comes Brent onto the Shen as well. Nothing to be done here.
Great. So,
just like
the
that.
action.
Coke goes golden to try and stay alive. It'll actually work for just a moment. Oh, and the great Q on the turnaround from the Morgana. Says, please do not step into me. I am very low. You can remain right there. Thank you very much. Oh, are we going again in the mid lane here? Phoenix trying to get something done on that Cassiopeia, but nothing doing yet.
Yeah, so we actually saw a really great play in the top side from Cat there, using the Twilight Shroud to make sure that the gold card didn't actually stun. Ended up not really mattering in the end just due to the Darius damage, but, you know, it's the small little things that next time potentially go your way, and you don't have to think about it as much.
Is he here will get pushed on the tower by Max, who's rotated all the way up, and Phoenix just catches it out. Oh, he gets a great stun on the Cassiopeia, who has to flash away, and here comes Cataclysm on the reinforcements. We rotate bot side now as well. Huge fight breaking out there onto the tower. LFB trying to evade those tower shots, but it won't be enough. Royale gets credit there. Coke stays alive. And on the other side of the screen, we did see Max get dropped as well in that mid lane, so tough spot there. A little too far forward, caught up by Phoenix on that Maokai, and well, that's 2 picks to Epic Zero.
Yeah, I mean, this Maokai coming up huge once again for Epic Zero, showing up in the middle lane and really equalizing this, you know, set of champions we've seen constantly pushing is the Cassiopeia, trying to just put out, you know, tons of poke damage onto He on the Twisted Fate, and twice now just overstepped, gotten caught out by the Maokai, who then, like I said, equalizes and secures the fight. And unfortunately, the botched tower dive in the bottom side gives Royale a window to succeed. We saw how effective he was on the Ezreal last game. If he can do that again, then Epic Zero is really set up for success. Coke's all the way on the top side, not even with the AD carry, just making sure that her top laner has vision control available.
Oh, and you can see Coke's just going to get the stun there onto Max, who is now certainly going to be forced to retreat. He'll see the vision, of course. Both of the enemy champions there. That's not an engagement I think Max really is looking to pursue. And still has to be careful of that Morgana bind going right over the wall, nearly catching him out.
Really interesting that Max was deciding to spend the ultimate there, just trying to catch out the Morgana, who wasn't really in range for it, but you never know. First pick, though, going to the Vayne is huge. Already completed first item. It's really starting to stack up some damage now. Going to be completing the Berserker Greaves soon, and then we'll have to see if they do decide to go for the Zeal item or the Ginsu's Rage Blade second.
Yes, that Blade of the Ruined King providing a little bit of movement speed advantage to the player using it. We've seen, you know, currently in this patch, many different champions using the Blade of the Ruined King. It did get a bit of a buff earlier, and it can be very effective when used in the right situation.
Yeah, I mean, typically we see top laners building it. There's like 3 marksmen currently that build it, I believe. It's Vayne, Kog'Maw, I suppose 4 if we're counting We saw them. Man, I am just clipping. But no, it's like 3. Vayne, Kog'Maw, Twitch. Oh, Varus, I guess, would be the 4th sometimes. But we've been seeing more of the lethality build coming out of that champion, not so much the on-hit. So, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 marksmen, depending on how you want to count it. So it's mostly top laners building it now.
Oh, we can see a bit of a skirmish breaking out here. LFB just trying to get away from that Ezreal. The damage output a bit too hot to handle at the moment, as now we have this entire Epic Zero squad here rotated towards this Drake. You can tell that they want it, or at least establishing the position. They're going to try and pull it out of the pit, get it started. Maybe. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, the Udyr would have to flash the wall to try and get in position to be a threat onto the dragon. By drawing it out into the river a little bit, you then force them to either have to flash the pit and run through your entire team, or just run through your entire team to be getting within flash range. They do decide to just give it up, though. Not worth fighting over the 3rd Drake of the game. It's not Soul Point. It's not Soul itself. You really don't need to worry about it too much. You'll have other opportunities.
But certainly for Roosevelt High here, they will appreciate being ahead for the moment. Just about 18 minutes into this game, as we're slowly going to see every champion transitioning out of their lane phase. And, well, Brent may just decide to step up and go after this Shen, who is recalling in the bush. Does he know? Oh! Oh! Almost.
We're still seeing some pretty constant counter jungling coming in from Udyr, though. Quite ahead because of it. You know, having an almost 40 CS advantage over the Maokai, who has been in the exact same amount of team engagements. You know, they're both sitting at 3. They've been a part of their team doing what they can. And, you know, with that 40 CS advantage, you would think that Udyr's pretty far ahead, and you kind of see it within the items. You know, having completed boots, having completed jungle item, a Tiamat as well as some components on top of it. It makes sense that the Udyr is farther ahead. We're going to have to see if he can keep this lead, though, because Udyr, not typically a teamfight champion, whereas this Epic Zero team wants to teamfight at some point, potentially around a objective that the Cassiopeia can't control the lane. You know, make sure that it's not in the jungle, it's nice and open like in the river, make sure that, you know, you either bait out the miasma and then go in, or just force her onto the back foot and, you know, use it defensively.
Of course, we also saw there for just a moment, we did see the Rift Herald getting dropped in the mid lane by the Epic Zero squad, and I think that is one of the more successful Rift Heralds we've seen in this series so far. Of course, grabbing 2 turrets there were Epic Zero, one in the top, one in the mid lane.
Yeah, and, you know, the rotations coming out from Prestige, making sure that, you know, the Vayne is able to continue free farming, you know, not being oppressed anymore by the Morgana. Does have to really play safe for now since she doesn't have her support with her, and Darius will 100% run up on her if the Maokai was close by. So now that we see them 2 together, they're really going to try and push through to this tier 1 tower, force the Darius off of it, and try and get something out of it.
Oh, but here we go. This is going to be breakout here in the mid lane. He has to flash away from that Udyr. Doesn't want anything to do with it. He will flash and run away from the tower. As we can rotate to Cataclysm here, trying to defend this bottom tower as well. Coke taking a couple shots from the tower. Royale taking one as well. They want to try and put this Shen so far behind. He will survive for now, and the push is ultimately staved away.
Yeah, I mean, he already has that Sunfire Cape and the Merc Treads. Not really afraid of Morgana Ezreal and their damage at this portion of the game.
Oh, but here we go. Brent is just finding 2 in the jungle, but he actually picks up 1. Can he find the second? It will also be he on the TF coming through on the rotation to support. Now we take a look bot side of this engagement here. Royale just poking and poking away on Cataclysm on the Shen, who seemingly having a rough time out there. But oh, yeah, goodness, I mean, Darius, you have
buff transfer complete. making sure that you give it on over to your top laner. Top laners love red buff. They'll take it from you every day of the week. He'll take the bonus gold from the takedown as well. This is a nice little cherry on top. Not really too worried about it, but yeah, I mean, the Darius absolutely loves that. You can see that they've taken the Vayne out of that lane as well. There's no tower there for her to take, so there's absolutely no reason for her to be in a lane against the Darius. You now have to focus on putting either your Shen or your Cassiopeia against them, or else he's just going to split push all day. Shen, though, not uber tanky, will still lose to a Darius at this stage of the game. So we're going to have to see how they decide to play around that type of situation, especially with the Dragon now in 10 seconds. We see Darius already making his way down here, teleport and Stand United available for the Shen. This would set up Soul Point for Epic Zero, but we're going to see how aggressively they want to fight for it. Their support is just now coming out of base, so not in a position to defend or egress, but
here we go anyway. LFB will actually find he caught out in the mid lane. It's ultimately Redden who will find the pick there, and now all of a sudden here's the avenue for the Prestige. How much do they go and try and capitalize? They're going to at least try and clear the vision and get this started. They know that Epic Zero are lurking in the jungle behind them, and they're just going to step up. How willing are they to press into that fight? A little bit of poke. Oh, there's a Morgana Q, and the fallout from Ezreal actually puts a ton of damage on the Braden. LFB is just going to try and go in on this Darius. Knocks him down to about half health with the help of his team. Oh, but away we go. Big Morgana ultimate here, trying to absolutely shut everything down. But the first drop is going to be on Fred. Oh no, Phoenix is just caught out as well. There's not enough damage. A double for Cassiopeia. Ezreal just barely gets away for now. Real running through his own jungle. 3 for 0 going the way of Prestige. That is the turnaround they needed.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how many items that Prestige has completed. They have the 2-item Cassiopeia and the 2-item Vayne. They've hit their potential breakpoints ahead of their opponent. Ezreal, only 1 completed item. Yes, the Twisted Fate now has 2 completed items, but he gets caught out very early at the fight there. Caught overstaying his welcome, trying to threaten a gold card, only to get exploded by that Vayne damage with that Silver Bolt's proc, and the slow coming in from the Cassiopeia makes sure that he's still in range. And he doesn't have a Zonius. He didn't have the stopwatch available. It was cracked already. And so he just ends up going down, not having the flash available either. No avenue of escape. He is Twisted Fate after all. Well, he has exactly 0 mobility in his kit outside of, say, his ultimate, which isn't... I'm not going to call that mobility because it gets canceled out by just about anything. There's no way for him to guarantee an escape with it once he's already engaged upon. And without that Twisted Fate pushing and poking from the side lane and threatening that gold card, with the Dragon secure, they get the slow onto the Darius, another champion with no mobility, and those item breakpoints are just coming in huge for Prestige.
It was a bit of a tense and awkward situation after Dragon. You could tell both teams, they knew where each other were. They could sort of sense that the engagement was coming, and really the first part of it was too. Coke manages actually a great Q down onto, I believe it was the Cassiopeia, followed up by the Ezreal as well. So they already chunked down one member of that backline, and well, they thought they could go in, but it did not turn out well. Ooh, nice sidestep there.
Yeah, we're starting to see some damage from the Ezreal, landing a couple of Mystic shots onto the Vayne, getting her down to about half HP. We need to see a lot more of that if Epic Zero want to take this victory and not have to go to a Game 3. Right now, they really need to wait out this Baron. The potential engage coming in from Prestige is too high with this Taric Shen combo. And Udyr is already starting to set up a spot for himself in these side lanes, making use of that Baron buff push for now. You can see the Twisted Fate transitioning over, trying to catch that wave. But how long can they hold the Udyr for? He's going to be doing this for the next 40 minutes or until the game ends, either way.
It would be something if we saw a 60-minute game here. I'm not sure it'll run that long, but we're still very level, still very even. This can very much go either way. As well, we see the 5-man pushback from Epic Zero here, just trying to relieve the pressure out of the mid lane. Of course, the mid lane being the shortest distance between the two bases. You want to do everything you can to not concede towers or inhibitors there.
Yeah, I mean, so far, no objectives to the Baron. I would call that a win. They do still have a little bit of time left on it to potentially get something, but I think Epic Zero can feel pretty secure in their defense so far. It does look like they're going to lose this top tier 2, but it's no longer part of the Baron power play, so they have that going for themselves.
As well, here might be an interesting situation. Cataclysm is just going to jump right on top of he there, getting him out of the range of the turret. Oh, but this could be very problematic for Prestige if they're not careful about this dive. That tower is still up and still delivering damage. Oh, here we go once again. Huge, huge play. Trying to knock down Max. He's so low on the Cassiopeia, but he just will not get dropped. And now the chase is on for Epic Zero. They're going to push Prestige all the way back through that top lane. And that could have nearly been disastrous, I think, for the Prestige. If they weren't careful about that engagement, that could have gone very, very poorly.
Yeah, I mean, this Taric is just shutting down so much of what Epic Zero wants to do. They finally get a good engage on their side. They have multiple members stuck under the tower, and they get the right picks off, but then the Taric ultimate comes down, everybody goes golden, and no longer is the opportunity available to get takedowns. They need to then just wait out their turn, try and get CC after it ends, and they just didn't have anything left. They've used everything on the initial engage. They are going to find themselves on Soul Point, and if they're able to get this Soul buff, that's a pretty big boost to their team fight capabilities. You know, starting every fight with like an additional 200 HP makes it a little bit harder for the Vayne and Cassiopeia to burst you out. It's still 100% doable because of how squishy right now Epic Zero is, but if they can sustain in fights, get another round of burst combo out, then, you know, that's potentially another team fight that they can win, turn that into an objective, and potentially, you know, end the game from there. Darius, though, seems to have hit a wall with his kit. He is no longer able to get through to the enemy team. Cat's been playing super duper safe for the last 10 minutes or so, getting the gold and the items ready to be a unit for his team, and Darius has not scaled exponentially like you would like to see.
That could be problematic for Epic Zero as we're watching now. The Moanalua Prestige just trying to assert themselves around this Baron pit. It will be coming up here in just a moment. You can see already on the minimap it'll be coming up shortly. And just working on that vision, right? Trying to establish presence in the jungle, you know, pushing in those lanes so you can try and have that priority. We'll see where the next engagement takes place, you know, how each team positions around the map and these objectives.
Yeah, I mean, this next Baron fight could make or break the game. If it goes uncontested, then they can hold out. You know, they already survived one Baron. They can potentially survive another one either side. If, however, this big team fight breaks out and Prestige are able to take it cleanly, at that point, there's honestly no way to come back. You know, we've hit that 30-minute break point I was talking about in the draft phase. There's not a whole lot for Epic Zero to do against this Cassiopeia Vayne. They're hyper-scaling champions. They've scaled. They each have 3 items to your carries 2. It's just so tough to try and catch them out, do enough damage to take them out, especially when you have this Taric who is actually going to go down. He's done. He's done so.
Royale will actually pick up the credit for that. It was ultimately the Baron itself that finished him off there, using his positioning well as well. Braden's got the flash away as well, caught out in a bit of danger there. Oh, that's a big Morgana bind as well. Cataclysm trying to do everything he can to keep Braden alive. The positioning from Epic Zero is so strong here. All 5 members of their team now working through that Baron pit. They are going to get it started. Will Moanalua contest?
I don't think so. They are pinging these towers. The Baron's pretty slow. They're going to lose a lot of map placement for it. They already lost 1 tower in the mid lane. Top tower not long after. They were working on the Baron, just now finishing it, and they're already on the inhibitor in the mid lane. That is huge. Red tower destroyed. Red tower destroyed. That inhibitor is now open.
Yes, but now the chase is on here for Roosevelt High School. They're going to try and make sure that that forward aggression is punished as Coke actually lands a great bind over the wall. There's just no follow-up there. Certainly, Morgana making her presence known here. Now here we go once again.
Things are good. Things are really good if you're a Prestige fan. You have the scaling completed. You have multiple split pushers available in your squad. You have the enemy with a Baron buff, sure, but it's Darius, Twisted Fate. You know, not super high tier picks. When you see a Darius, you want them to just absolutely stomp the enemy laner, but we didn't see that this game. He's 3-1-2, which is a respectable scoreline, but it's not by any means what I would call a stomp.
No, it is not so advantageous that Darius can absolutely just run through as well. We see it here. Brent just going to try and go in and trying a Cataclysm to really do something about it. In the 1v1 here, Shen's not going to be doing too hot, but reinforcements have arrived. LFB trying to go in on the Taric, trying to make the sustain. Ultimately, they will push Darius off it, but at what cost? You could see 4 members bought here for Epic Zero. They're going to take the bottom turret with that Baron buff. And well, if you're the Darius, that's what you want. You want to try and pull people into the rotation, take you out. Ultimately, to try and, you know, for the Prestige, they concede that turret bot side because they had all rotated to the top.
Yeah, we do see Darius now backing. The Dragon is up in 3 seconds. I would have liked to see him stay top because of this fight. You know, he doesn't have a way to get there quickly. He doesn't have Ghost anymore. He only has the Flash. And with how quickly this Dragon can go down either way, I really would have seen him continue pushing that top side.
Well, Prestige, they know they want to contest it. They don't want to concede the solo, so you can see both teams dancing around the fight, trying to go in. Max is going to get ruined, but here comes the play around the Dragon. Oh, they get stolen! Udyr steals the Drake, and here we go, the big team fight breaks out. Brayden's unstoppable already. Oh, and massive damage going after he goes golden. Back in there, Vayne gets a double, make it a third. Blind Eye gets heat, and it's a triple there for Vayne. 4 for 0 and a stolen Drake. That is perfect for Moanalua.
Tons of hesitation coming in from Epic Zero. You could see the indecision clearly on their face. They couldn't tell if they wanted to burn the Dragon or turn for the fight. And, you know, they blew a lot of cooldowns trying to keep the enemy team off, but the damage dealers were more focused on trying to take the fight. So they didn't have enough damage to burn down the Dragon. They ended up, you know, losing it to the Smite from Udyr with that empowered survivability due to the Taric. And so with that, you know, huge win at the Dragon, they don't even need Soul or another Baron. They're able to just take it through, pushed for the win. They took down 4 members of the opposing team, and, you know, they really took advantage of that split-second indecision that Epic Zero had, you know. And when you have these seconds, these split-second decisions that need to be made, and they go the other way, you really look back to those and think, oh, if only we had done the other thing.
So difficult there for Epic Zero. You know, on the one hand, you have to think, okay, if we take the Dragon but lose the team fight, you know, ultimately we have the soul, maybe we hold on. If we, you know, if we lose the Dragon but win the team fight, okay, then, you know, again, we can hold out and do it. But you lost both in that spot. You get the Dragon stolen away from you, and you lose the team fight. Just those two things together, well, that was the end of that game. We saw just how quickly Moanalua were able to capitalize.
Yeah, I mean, when you have, you know, the Cassiopeia, the Udyr, and the Vayne, you take towers incredibly quickly. So I feel like either way, if they had lost the team fight, that was really the game. You know, they'd already broken the mid tower. They just needed the inhibitor and the 2 Nexus towers, and thankfully the waves were in their favor. So, I mean, it was just really unfortunate. It really needed for Epic Zero to win that team fight, whether it was taking the Dragon and running away or just straight up winning the fight. And if they'd done that, then yeah, we would have stalled out for a second. We would have seen a third Baron fight, and then, you know, it's up in the air from there thanks to the Dragon Soul. But no, really cleanly executed there. from the blue side. They were able to take the fight effectively and turn it into the W.
And the W was exactly what Moanalua was looking for. They have now drawn it level in this series. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be taking a short break, but do not go anywhere here on PlayVS. We will have the conclusion of this best of three coming up next, guys. Don't go in, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I think a lot of students have just gotten another sense of how to belong and how to create relationships outside of what were the traditional avenues.
And a lot of my students talk about how they feel safe in the esports program, and that's their family, that's their community. And I think the esports gives kids a future that they might otherwise not have.
Man, I wish that had been available when I was in high school.
There is a stereotype for women in video games. A lot of people tend to think that we're not very good. Sometimes the male players get a little snarky, and sometimes I do have to put them in their place. 1v1 me, bruh. Come at me. I was bullied relentlessly in school, so video games became my escape. And eventually I started entering tournaments and making a name for myself. A lot of people thought it was a joke, but I was really excited. I went before our Board of Education and presented the case for esports. We talked about the benefits of playing video games. You build teamwork, critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication. These are skills that companies are now looking for. And also, I brought up the child that won $3 million in Fortnite and discussed how students had a future with esports if they could win money and go to college on scholarships. We made an announcement 2 days after the board approved, and I had about 450 students show up, and it was a little overwhelming to think about how am I going to teach students how to play this very complex game. There are a lot of different types of students in my program, and I have a lot of students who say, you know, they come to school for esports. They know that they need to do well in class. Otherwise, their teacher will call me and I will come up to their classroom and sit in that class and make sure that they're doing what they need to do. A lot of them are now maybe at B's when earlier they were at C's or D's. I had a student graduate last year. He told me that he was going to drop out, that he didn't like school wasn't for him, and then we announced esports. And that's kind of what saved him, and he graduated, and now he's in college. That meant a lot to me. I tear up a little bit every time I think about that child. Every school really does need an esports program, simply because, in my personal experience, a lot of these kids that play esports, for various reasons, they can't play a physical sport. But esports is just, it's online, it's at the school. It gives students a place where they can feel safe and they belong, because back in the day when esports and video games weren't mainstream, you were bullied relentlessly for it. And a lot of my students talk about how they feel safe in the esports program, and that's their family, that's their community. Being an esports coach means to me that I have a huge responsibility to these 65 children that are in this program. Despite the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing half the time, they are counting on me to give them guidance in this game so they can win and go to playoffs. It's more than just being a coach, it's being there for students who might not have anybody who's normally there for them. It's about encouraging them, loving them, and showing them that you can do something like this and be good at it and go off and have a future.
Overwhelmingly, the support has been there with, man, I wish that had been available when I was in high school. I guess it was last fall, some of the students were starting to go, hey, can we get a gaming club going? And then word came down that our athletic director was looking for someone to coach esports. And I said, this is something that's right up my alley. You know, I've always been in tune with the geek kids, you know, the geeks, the nerds, whatever. That's my scene. That's what I was in high school. I mean, I've done it all. I've done computer-based stuff. I played World of Warcraft for about 10 years. 360s in the house right now. The main thing that I did to help find interested students is I told all of my classes, if you have friends who are interested, please send them this way, that anybody can join. I'm not going to limit this. For our first season playing, we have come in at approximately 23 kids. I've got one full League of Legends team. I've got 3 Rocket League teams. That's where we started at, and I'm looking forward to it growing. To get started in this, it was let me learn about the games that are out there. Let me see what I need to figure out. And then I figured out that the kids are going to know more than I ever will. The opportunity for any kid to be skilled at something and be able to have the chance to pass that knowledge on, to look at somebody else and go, hey, I realize I'm not going to be here for more than a couple of years, and we want this team to keep doing well. Let's get your skill up so that you can take my spot. Absolutely, that's part of giving the kids that bit of ownership in the sport. This is the first time we've done this at our school. How much of a legacy do you want to leave? Do you want to be the guy that's helping bring the next generation here at the school along, or are you going to be the one who's like, no, I'm the best and I don't want anybody else to challenge me? When I've got my lead for League of Legends going, okay, we're invading here, I'm marking the point, everybody get here, they're learning how to really work together and develop those skills that they're going to be able to use the rest of their lives. Here's your place where you can come in and be part of a team. Esports gives that kid who is a gamer that chance to be involved in the school and maybe help them develop more school pride than what they've had. They can say, hey, I was part of this, and that they now have the opportunity to letter in it gives them a reason to go out and say, hey, you know, maybe I do want to buy that Letterman's jacket. Maybe I do want to build some memories about high school that will last and be worthwhile. Ultimately, being a coach is opening doors for students to find their way to belong in a school that they don't have through any other means. So let's grow it. Let's make the school a more welcoming place for everybody.
Open your eyes, what can you see around? Wind of the open sky, over the siren sounds. This is a dream, getting the royal scar, holding a diamond blade, throwing it far. Holding your breath still, you jump the fire. We'll just sit and wait till you see me fly. You know they'll never catch me for it. See me fly, the way I put my finger on it. See me fly, you got it, then try to tell me you got the wrong guy. See me fly, you know they'll never catch me for it. See me fly, the way I put my finger on it. See me fly, you got it, then try to tell me you got the wrong guy. Look at them now, all of the noise they make, counting the cards to one. Queen of Hearts never breaks. Falling asleep here might just take a while. Trying not to grind your teeth, dreaming to touch my style. Well, can't say I blame you, trying to come close to, but all you can do. See me fly, you know they'll never catch me for it. See me fly, the way I put my finger on it. See me fly, you got it, then try to tell me you got the wrong guy. See me fly,
Welcome back, everyone, to Play Versus. I am Perino. I am joined again on the desk by the Doctor. And well, this is everything you could ever want, right? Game 3 coming up here between Moanalua and Roosevelt High School. Moanalua doing a phenomenal job at the end of that game there in Game 2. Took the dragon, took the team fight, and took the victory.
Yeah, I mean, able to recover from that Game 1 loss. Coming into Game 2, they had a different game plan available to them. You know, I talked about, what it was like sacrificing your top laner onto a more supportive pick. It was exactly what the team ordered, right? Like, the Cassiopeia was able to do their thing. The Vayne was able to pop off. They didn't have to worry about, a potential volatile skill matchup. They're just like, Shen, just don't die 700 times, and we're going to win. And that's exactly what he did. He, didn't get overly crushed in the lane. He didn't have to deal with a ton of jungle pressure coming out of the Maokai, who was more focused on the other lanes. Didn't even really have to bother his own jungler too much, who spent the entire time, either ganking the mid lane or counter jungling. Towards the end of game 2, we saw almost like 140 CS differential between the two junglers. It was actually insane. And so the Shen being able to survive and just do his own thing and just stand united basically on cooldown meant that his two hyper carries were able to scale. They hit their item breakpoints before the more early game focused champions were able to. And at that point, the game's over. Once you're scaling outdoes the opponent, you're already there. You've done the hard part. You just have to close at home. So as we head into our third draft of the night, we're going to have to see how the two teams adapt to what we've already seen so far and what the new bans are going to be into.
Yes, so very intriguing. I wonder if the Ezreal stays here. It was very much a point of contention, and we see, I was just about to say, the first ban coming out for Moanalua is the Yuumi. When the Ezreal was paired with the Yuumi, he took over the game. When he was not paired with the Yuumi, he didn't have as great of a time. So definitely, I think, smart from Moanalua there. I was just about to say it. First ban, Yuumi, we're taking that straight off the board.
Yeah, definitely makes a ton of sense for all the reasons we went over last game. I think we're going to see very similar ban phases coming out from Moanalua. They know what works. They had the blue side last time. They have it once again. They know how to play from the blue side. And because they already got the W, just do the same thing, make the other team respond to you and make them make the changes. They're on the back foot now. They need to come up with a new game plan because their original one didn't work. So I would like to see them potentially focus on getting a support earlier in their draft. They waited till second phase last time and they ended up getting almost completely banned away. Theodore Roosevelt High sticking with the same bans, however, means that the same first picks can potentially come out for Moanalua.
Yes, very intriguing strategy to me. That screams that Roosevelt High are comfortable with the game plan. I just feel like they didn't execute it that well. And, well, there you go. The first pick is the Udyr, who we saw had pretty good success, but counter pick immediately in the bottom lane from Roosevelt High will be the Zyra Khan. I believe it's the first time we've seen the duo here on Play Versus through this split. Very, very strong bot lane. They synergize incredibly well together, and that is a statement here for Roosevelt.
Yeah, I mean, it brings so much as the duo. You're now on a more linear marksman. You know how the Xayah is going to scale throughout the game. You don't need to worry about when you're spiking through your Tear of the Goddess. You just know that your item breakpoints are the Essence Reaver, into Zeal, into IE. You know exactly what you're going to get out of the champion. You have now a crowd control element to the marksman along with the support, who is this Rakan, who we talked about it every time the champion comes up, is so impactful when you have the lovers duo. Even without the Xayah, Rakan is still kind of silly. Being able to shield twice, having the, crazy long engage range along with just the double CC of the charm and the knockup. It's very difficult to try and avoid his engages, but Moanalua is just downright running it back. They have the Shen, the Vayne, and the Udyr. And, we do see the Taric ban, which I think actually was pretty big. The Taric set up a lot of plays for Moanalua last time, being able to catch people out and set up the Udyr or the Cassiopeia to then follow up with their crowd control. So they removed that. And now we see Theodore Roosevelt having to adapt a top laner. It's probably going to be the Camille, in all honesty. They banned away the Maokai, but Camille is a top lane pick. So following it up with the Rammus means that it's just what it is.
Oh, and I love the return from Moanalua here onto the Cassiopeia. And I was just about to ask what you thought of that last pick there. Go ahead and break it down for us.
I don't know. Well, actually, no. So if I'm in solo queue and I'm seeing this draft, my initial thought would be, oh wait, no. It's so much simpler than I was making it. I was trying to figure out how to like puzzle piece everybody, but it's just Rumble top. It's just Rumble top. It's easy. You put the Shen down support, Rumble top, Udyr obviously into the jungle. You saw the Rammus pick and the Camille pick. You probably can assume that it's not going to be a very tanky composition coming out of Theodore Roosevelt High. You know, they don't have a ton of resistances or even HP bars, so you pick the early game Rumble who can, you know, output a ton of damage with an early haunting guys and, you know, the Rylai's, and really burn through these mid-game team fights, especially when you don't have anybody that can really duel him. And then later on, it really sets up for a really nice engage potential that, you know, the Udyr can then follow up on.
So many different layers of complexity here in this game 3. I thought we were going to see something very similar, especially from Moanalua when we first got, you know, the first 3 picks in, right? They said, okay, it worked for us last game, we're going to go again with it here. But then coming in with the Rumble as well, that is such an intriguing one to me. To go with that on match point takes some courage, as we are going to jump right into it here. Game number 3 coming up next, and is this a double 5-man?
Yeah, so not only is it a double 5-man, but it's actually Rumble support. You were talking about how bold it is to pick the champion itself here in Game 3 with the entire championship on the line. It is so much bolder to pick it as a support into Xayah Rakan. I am so curious to see how they try and execute this composition. It's just odd. It's very odd.
Oh, and here we go. Camille's going to find out the hard way exactly where everyone is. She does manage to barely get away. She was ignited. She had to burn a flash as well. And oh my goodness, that is a missed opportunity for the Prestige.
Yeah, I mean, they get the flash, which means they now delay the top laner's entrance to the lane unless they decide to burn the teleport, which they are actually going to. They don't want to lose out on too much of that first wave, but man, does that put a target on their back. Udyr can now just run straight up there, force the Camille to either, you know, go back to base in which the teleport's not available, or just, you know, go down.
Well, here you go. Here's the problem where, with the bot lane, Epic Zero trying to respond. Brayden nearly caught out by that Rakan. We talked about it so much on the broadcast, the strength of Rakan being able to get those engaged. Well, you saw it there, getting the knock up and going in already. This bottom lane for the Moanalua Prestige in some trouble.
And they got the teleport out of Shen as well. You know, it was interrupted by Bent on the Camille, so that's a huge cooldown missing. You know, now has to hang out in the lane a little bit longer than potentially necessary, just to make sure they get a really good back timing so that they don't lose too much to a hard push in. But right now, Brendan and LFB, oh man.
Oh my goodness, you'll see he had rotated over from the mid lane on Annie, flashed right under the tower, and managed to find the pick. That is the first takedown going the way of Roosevelt High, and that is a very aggressive rotation from the Annie there. You saw her just walk all the way through the jungle, straight down to the bottom lane, and that's a great opening pick, you gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a nice departure from last game, you know, with the Vayne picking up the first takedown. This time, giving it on over to, you know, this... it's tough to describe Annie because she's not really like a hyper carry, but as we saw, her flash stun engage is really difficult to deal with because of how instant all of her abilities are. So it really opens up some very interesting mid to late game team fights where, you know, a bushwhack is so much more impactful, especially with how much damage she does.
Oh, but here we go. LFB has to flash away out of that one. Rakan and Zaya doing a ton of damage here in the bot lane. Ultimately, nothing happening, but they do get the flash out.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a tough lane to deal with. That's why I was so confused by the Rumble support. I definitely feel like the Shen support makes a lot more sense, but when you think about the top lane matchup itself, this Camille-Shen matchup, it's pretty Shen favored just because of how much the Camille wants to auto attack and how many avenues Shen has to just not get auto attacked. You know, having that Twilight Shroud and then also building a Bramble Vest, potentially first item, it really basically deletes Camille from the lane. She no longer has any lifesteal potential. She no longer has any trading potential because she's now lost anything that she has going for her, and the Shen just wins the lane.
We'll see how hard that Shen can win lane. He did have somewhat of a rough go at the beginning of last game, but obviously no more Darius to be concerned with, at least for now. We do see the Rammus posted up top side. I wonder if he might be thinking about trying to go in on the Shen, who is pushed up in the wave, but ultimately now recalling.
Yeah, and we actually saw Udyr mirroring the side of the map, was just waiting for the dragon to spawn, running back and forth in front of the pit there. As soon as that dragon spawned, went onto it, making sure that his team gets the first dragon of the game, with it being an ocean dragon as well. Super impactful.
Yes, your laners will be thanking you immensely as the jungler when you pick up that early ocean drake, because you can see both the mid and the bot lane taking some damage there. Udyr does manage to find the dragon, but Max is in a problem now. The flash in from Phoenix is, oh, not going to get there. Are you kidding me, Max?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic use of the Petrifying Gaze there. We saw it used game one, not quite to its maximum efficiency. Already, though, using it to survive here in the middle lane, getting the enemy jungler's flash, and not even having to spend your own is so huge.
That could have been rather disastrous for Max there, but instead he managed to turn that play right on top of its head. And already, you can tell that this game has been a bit more dynamic perhaps than we've seen early on in the past. I know it's only one takedown. We've already seen several very strong gank attempts, you know, pretty much all over the rift here. As, oh, this could be a problem. Rakan's trying to recall, but LFB spots him out in the jungle, and here comes Max as well. He will ultimately use that dash to get away, Coke, but nearly caught out.
Yeah, Rakan's pretty tricky, pretty slippery. But I mean, yeah, we're seeing a lot more action on the map, it seems. You know, both junglers trying to be active, proactive here in the last game of the series. But ultimately, you know, once again, we're already seeing a huge CS advantage develop for the Udyr. You know, that mid lane gank from the Rammus ultimately spoiled simply because of he's, you know, level 2 roam to pick up the first takedown. Yes, it benefited him then, but it meant that he didn't hit level 6 at the same time. Even now, he's still level 5. Meanwhile, Max is level 7. That is huge. So many missed stats, so many, you know, I want to say ability points, but like he didn't even have his ultimate until just now. Now that he's level 6, things get a little bit scarier for anybody else thinking to approach the lane, but that's still an entire level discrepancy.
It certainly is. Of course, Annie now being able to make use of Tibbers, her friend, in the mid lane there. But here we go on the bot side. LFB is actually going to get caught out a little bit there. We're going to see this other fight in the mid lane as well, as Tibbers does get pulped. Max will get heat, but I believe he's traded out as well. So 1-for-1 in the mid lane. Nothing going yet in the bot lane. We saw Cataclysm rotate down, take a huge play now against Rakan. Here we go. Knockup from Royale is good. The follow-up comes through, though. Oh my goodness, absolutely heroic from the Rakan.
Yeah, 1-for-1 trade in the bottom side with the flash being burned by Cat. Obviously, gold advantage goes over to Prestige. They had 3 members in the fight versus 2, all of them getting a piece of the action. But, you know, we now have the potential of a freeze being set up in the top side by Bent, making sure to try and deny a lot of this farm from Cat, you know, hopefully setting the Shen behind again. But what we saw last game out of Cat's Shen was that they don't really care about the denial. They just want to be there for their team. And that type of play in the bottom lane is exactly what's going to get your Vayne ahead. 1-1-0. Yeah, a little behind in farm, but I mean, any takedown is super big.
Oh, but here we go. In the mid lane here, Coke's just going to get right on top of Max with that engage. He is there to help as well. But ultimately, Blind Eye's going to step up now. Oh, look at that! Coke's going to try and get away with the double flash, is followed up. And Blind Eye gets the pick there. Will he try to contest the Annie? No. Moanalua, they will be happy there. 1-0. A close fight, but ultimately going their way.
Yeah, I mean, they just simply don't have enough burst already to try and take out this Cassiopeia. You know, a champion that is essentially a rapid-fire AP marksman with this Conqueror rune really heals up a lot. You know, we can already see her back in this lane, back above 50% HP after what could potentially have been Doom. You know, if you let them survive, if you let the Cassiopeia get away with, you know, rapid firing these Twin Fangs out, they're going to heal back any damage you do and be ready for a secondary fight almost instantly. And with the Udyr just being right around the corner to defend his Snake Lady, just disastrous there for Coke.
Nothing going there for Annie in that mid lane so far. Granted, she is 2-1-0, so I shouldn't say nothing going. She clearly has something going, but really hasn't been her lane that has gotten her ahead. You can tell she's a little bit behind in farm still. And, you know, as we take a look around here, these games have all been so close early, right? And we can see it again here, pretty much dead even on the scoreboard. You know, a slight advantage to Prestige having the Drake, but otherwise, this has been neck and neck, and this is something we've seen in every game so far. Nobody's really getting so far ahead the game gets out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, the objective control coming out of Prestige, though, is just absolutely massive. Already being up 2 dragons 11 minutes into the game. So big as it continues. You know, they're going to be able to hopefully snowball this into even more dragons. With the Infernal Dragon on the Rift as well, it means that they are going to be doing just tons of damage, especially with how rapid fire their champions are. Oh, no!
Oh. That is not what you want to see if you're a fan of Roosevelt High. LFB making a huge play there, rotating up from that bot side and just catching everyone out on that Rumble. You can see that pick coming to fruition.
That Rumble ultimate plus the Miasma combo was so big brain. They get the massive slow out of it with the Rumble, then they just throw down another slow on top of it. Oh no.
Oh, Brent, so close there to going down. Ultimately using the mobility on that Camille to just get away from that one. It was a very nice gank attempt from the Udyr, and ultimately, you know, forces Camille to recall, you know, use the teleport back in, so they do get something out of it, but very close to the takedown as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just massive, you know, and as it continues on, it's going to be very difficult for the Camille now that, you know, doesn't even have a Bramble Vest and is really winning the lane. Yes, he's down to 10 CS and farm, but you can attribute that to him helping his team. He got the assist instead. That definitely makes up for it.
When you can see Bent here, knowing that his Rammus is coming around the corner, tries to get something started, but ultimately, no gank attempt to follow. Cataclysm wisely stepping back under his own turret, saying, I don't want anything to do with that 2v1. Oh, but here we go. Look at this.
Oh, the teleport from Max just to secure the kill. I don't even know if that was necessary, but man.
Certainly a strong display there from Max on the Cassiopeia, as you mentioned, using that teleport to get topside. And now, all of a sudden, the dynamic of this game has very much swung the way of Moanalua. They have this huge pressure going topside. They're going to have to concede some of the bot side, though, is Coke is just going to jump right in on Brayden here, and Royale's going to follow up. Those Zaya Feather Daggers outputting so much damage, pops the ult, but will Cataclysm get the trade? He will get one, Will he manage to find two? Coke has to run all the way back out of the lane.
The equalizer not quite connecting. Oh, man.
Very, very close stuff. As we can see, the Riptail just got dropped into the mid lane as well by Epic Zero. No second charge.
No, but they do get all the plates.
Goals.
Yeah, they like I said, they pick up every single plate there, sharing it between the jungler and the mid laner. Very good spike in gold for the Rumble, who is so far behind in farm right now. You know, we can see the, you know, money stacks piling into Year's pocket. He's looking like Harry Potter at Gringotts. It's just so difficult when you have this hyper carry split push on top of two hyper carry solo lane carries. Because at some point, the dams just break. You need to get ahead of them at every stage of the game. And already, you know, the Cassiopeia is being so impactful against the movement trying to come out from Epic Zero.
And you can see that mid laner already rotated into the top side, just waiting for a chance to strike on the Camille as we see another fight breaking out in the bot lane. Nothing too crazy, and ultimately I think Camille spots that out. She's just going to wisely wait under the turret, not let that Cassiopeia make a big play. But here we go now. Coke finds LFB in the bush. He's going to get caught out as well by the anti-rotating bot side. Zaya trying to put all those feather daggers out, but can't find LFB just yet. Will he get away? No. Royale does find the takedown. Very, very close there, but ultimately LFB just a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, I mean, Royale needs to be getting every single one of these takedowns. They are the main carry right now for this game, and they need to put every single resource into getting this Zaya as far ahead as possible. Yes, Annie does need to do damage, but right now that champion needs to be there for crowd control.
Oh no, here comes Blind. It's going to actually get the shutdown and make it 2. Bredden will pick up the other pair of the Lovers duo, and we can rotate back into the mid lane here. He has just gone absolutely nuclear here. Now LFB is trying to step up and make a play. Oh goodness, here we go once again. All the rotations coming through now. He is just about to get dropped by Cataclysm. Almost, maybe.
Eventually.
Oh. Close. He picks up the stun, and Timbers is still going as well. Oh, there it is. Okay. It had to happen sooner or later.
And so another dragon going the way of Prestige. That's 3 in a row, and I think that's 5 in a row across the last few games. I could be wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure they got the last couple in game 2 as well. And, you know, that entire time we were watching shenanigans down in the bottom side, we do have Camille pushing this top lane, but when your entire team gets taken down and you're just, you know, playing Stardew Valley in the top side, it's so difficult for your team to come up with the victory, especially when you can't even 1v1 the champion that they send to stop you.
Hey, I for one very much enjoy Stardew Valley. It is a phenomenal title. But it's not what we're watching here. We're watching League of Legends instead, and I agree. When you're trying to farm that hard, you may not be doing enough for team, but Royale will step up. That's a huge ultimate burn there to secure that one, but credit to him. Zaya popping all those feather daggers, picking up the stun as well. Makes your life very easy when everything connects.
Yeah, I mean, each one of those daggers does so much damage on the recall. It's why we see Zaya in a position that she is. Not only does she have excellent damage, she's pretty safe using the ultimate there and being able to just be reliable. You don't have to think too hard when you have a Zaya in your backline, because you know exactly, like I said, what you're going to get out of the champion, how much damage to expect, how much, you know, survivability. The issue becomes when you have this big giant snake lady running down your marksman, just really causing them a bother.
Well, we might get a little bit of an ARAM here. As, well, 4v4 in the mid lane. Zai will ultimately decide not to go in. Neither team really looking to try and fully duke it out in the mid lane there, wisely stepping off of it. But Max will take some poke down from he. Near that bot side.
Yeah. It really is the, you know, situation a lot of teams find themselves in with the championship on the line. You know, we do kind of regress back to this, like you said, an ARAM style of play where both teams just set up in the mid lane, wait for somebody to make a mistake. But with both teams having such high engage potential, you know, you really have to wonder, is it worth it? You know, we saw the attempt there with the equalizer, not quite connecting onto multiple members, but the threat's there. And you can see there that, you know, the teams are like, yeah, we don't really want to do that again. So they make the play for the Herald. Meanwhile, the solo laners are collecting themselves in the bottom lane for Prestige, just trying to get that wave pushing. But, man, Tier 1 goes down. The Rift Herald not getting cracked just yet. They do want to recall with it first. But, man, they really need to get into a position in the next 2 minutes to fight for this Infernal Soul Dragon.
Yes, that Infernal Soul will be critical, of course, for Moanalua. They're going to have many attempts at it. Oh, but Annie's just caught out by Max here. Nothing to be done about it. Ultimately, Ramus is going to come through and try and clean this up. Let's see if he can. Phoenix will get some help as well from Ben. That will do it instead. Cataclysm just forced to run now. We'll use that Blast Cone to get to safety. And oh my.
Yeah, fantastic bushwhack setup there by Max, being able to just land the Petrifying Gaze out of the bush. No chance to respond was he. He just kind of got, you know, blown up a little bit. It's perfectly timing of the miasma at the end of the Petrifying Gaze to make sure that the flash wasn't possible. It wasn't there yet either. It was still on cooldown, but you always want to make sure that you don't give them the opportunity. Ramus being there, kind of unlucky. They do get a lot out to still try and take down the Cassiopeia, though. It does look like they spent Ben's teleport and the ultimate, and neither of those are going to be back up in time for the Infernal Drake. But we see the smart heads-up play coming out from Ben, making sure to already be running down the bottom lane. You know, they, like I said, they have to fight for it. It is make or break. This is such a big dragon if they lose it.
You will be where I want you to be.
It certainly is, as, again, Epic Zero here will try to establish priority, build the middle and the bot lane, try and set up, get the vision, get priority, and get the dragon. This is the calm before the storm.
And this could decide the game, potentially. You know, if Prestige are able to come out ahead with multiple takedowns onto their carries, then, you know, things just look super dire heading forward. You know, with the Cassiopeia and the Vayne getting ahead once again, you know, we already saw how that show ends. I don't know if Epic Zero want to see a rerun of it.
I don't think they want to see a rerun of that Vayne going absolutely haywire either. As we can see, just a sort of positional battle here. Nobody really trying to take the fight yet. But here come Prestige and Cataclysm on that Shen, trying to wait and bide their time. The Dragon being knocked out by Epic Zero here. Smite up for both players. As oh, here we go. Big team fight. Look at that. Phoenix gets Uranot. Oh my goodness, it's absolutely huge for Epic Zero. 4 go down. Make it 5. Oh my goodness.
The absolute perfect engage was almost ruined. Annie did get Petrifying Gazed right as she flashed forward. Thankfully, everybody stayed exactly where they were, waiting for her to come back to life, and then she just drops Tibbers on everybody. Everybody gets decimated and ends up going down in the fight. A full ace for one member, with the Infernal Dragon going over to Epic Zero as well. Now they're on the Baron. They don't have their Camille, but it's still going down pretty quick.
And it will be purely uncontested here, this Baron. So both the Drake and the Baron going the way of Epic Zero. And all of a sudden, this is absolutely monstrous for them. You know, we talk about make or break plays in that game. That team fight around that Drake, so critical. And to not only win the team fight, but to win it as hard as they did. They didn't, you know, just get 1 or 2. They took down the entire team. That's a bit concerning, I think, if you're Moanalua.
Yeah, you definitely need to keep that in the back of your mind as these, you know, later game team fights continue to happen. You know, we are going to see more and more damage being built up by the Annie and the Xayah combo. And if all 4 of your members get dragged up again by that Rakan engagement, it just sets up perfect scenario for the Annie to drop Tibbers. We've already seen it happen once. It is definitely going to potentially happen again. We do need to see a world where Prestige play a little bit more smartly about their objective control. They had the equalizer available. They had the Stand United available. They didn't need to try and just all face check that bush. They had options. They didn't play around them. Like, they could have just dropped the equalizer across the front of that Dragon Pit, and all of a sudden Rakan can't get that same style engage.
Something to certainly keep in mind here as well. Epic Zero are going to push with the Baron as well. They're going to maximize what they can out of that buff, trying to get as much damage done in that mid lane as they can, but Prestige are not going to want to let them go all the way into the base. They will most likely lose one turret, but we'll see.
I mean, we're back to a similar scenario that we were in earlier. We can't have either team really air them too hard, just simply because of how much engage each team has. We saw, like I said, the equalizer, that mid lane fight, just try and catch people out. That is always an option. You can always just run down an equalizer.
Oh, but here we go. Huge team fight breaking out in front of the mid lane as well. Oh, and Royale's going to pick up the Udyr, but is it enough? Oh, there goes another. Dax trying to flash away, and it's the double for Xayah. They push all the way into the base. Epic Zero here, 3-on-2. But LFB and Britain will barely escape. They have to go all the way to the fountain. They're going to lose the middle inhibitor, at least, possibly more.
That Xayah was completely untouched throughout the entire fight, just able to rain feathers through the entire team. You saw just everybody's health bar explode once she recalled them. The Annie got the Tibbers off, but only on the one member after being engaged upon. That was a 100% team fight won because of Royale on this Xayah. He won game 1 on the Ezreal, and he's looking to do it again game 3 on this Xayah, and he is just so big right now. Now 7, 2, and 5, already 2.5 completed items, is only going to get stronger. And yes, they're super overstaying their welcome right now by clearing out these jungle camps, but man, the item that they're going to get as soon as they go back to base is just massive.
Absolutely unbelievable scenes here for Roosevelt High School as they trying to reset now, and here's the next issue. There's another Drake coming in just under 50 seconds as we watch the timer drop, and well, the next thing you know, there's going to be another fight most likely around this Drake. It really is still almost a coin flip. Now, yes, you mentioned the Xayah is huge, but look at the Udyr as well. Cassiopeia still obviously very much a threat. The Vayne as well. So many different options for Moanalua to try and claw their way back in.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Dragon Pit fight. This is exactly what Rumble is known for. Setting up the equalizer onto multiple members across the Dragon Pit's opening. Yes, it's, kind of spread out right now, but we can't see a repeat of that last Dragon fight. If that thing happens, then Moanalua is just donezo. They're not going to be able to recover for the next couple minutes, and it delays their, game-ending item choices that much further. And you can see their gameplay. They're not even going to try and contest that dragon. They recognize that, they are a bit behind the, 8 ball now, and they need to just farm up and let their carries get to the same point that they were at last game before they really try and force things. They have double inhibitors down. I would like to see all 5 members of Epic Zero start rotating towards the top side. This Camille is setting up the waves perfectly to be able to try and take down this tower, but they need a little bit of help. She can't do it on her own.
Well, looks like you have gotten your wish here on the desk as we see the big rotation coming out for Epic Zero. They will try and push into that turret, but ultimately a smart answer by Prestige. And to your point about the inhibitors, I mean, look, that bottom wave Superman are already crashing at the tower. They have to go and respect it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately the waves are a little slow for Epic Zero. They're not exactly crashing the towers at the same time. But, I mean, the wave clear right now, a lot of it's this Udyr. If you force the Udyr off of that, tower like we see here, they don't really have much left to clear the wave. And with that Camille being, decently farmed up, you already forced the Vayne off just by dashing in, and now you have triple inhibitor down. This is perfect. Fall back, take the Baron, reset, and go for a final push through while those inhibitors are down.
And that is exactly the plan that Roosevelt High School have in mind here. They're going to clear out some of the buffs, make sure that Moanalua have no recourse here. They're going to start up that Baron, get it ready to roll, and if you're Moanalua, get ready for the onslaught. Your final stand is coming up next.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of playing it on a more aggressive note. Epic Zero is. Them deciding to go for the Baron first before recalling means that they are going to lose a bit of time on the Baron, which means they do need to be more forceful on the pushes that they do. It does open up a possible recourse from Moanalua. They do have, a chance to, respond to the over-aggression with equal aggression. And now that we have, third items coming in for, a lot of the carries, that is potential to really do a lot of damage. We have 3 items on the Cassiopeia, including that Banshee's Veil, trying to block out the potential engage options.
But here we go. This is all of Epic Zero. They're just waiting patiently for that wave to come with a Baron buff is up, 3 inhibitors down. Yeah, I mean, seemingly one final push into the base we go.
These 2 inhibitors that they got earlier are respawning just now. That's why you can see on the minimap there's only 1 wave with super minions in it. So they are going to, play it super duper safe. Just take down both inhibitors again, wait for those super minions to continue piling in, and then use the Baron buff with those to really force the issue. We have, double supers in the top, no supers in the bottom and middle just yet. They are just now spawning in the base. But if you're sitting here applying all of this pressure, you can already see how low that top Nexus tower is.
And that tower is that low with really none of the members of Epic Zero really stepping into it. It's just been the minions on this push. When you get super minions on the Baron buff, they are unrelenting. And here we go. Rakan's going to jump in and try and catch that one. Here we go. A massive, massive play there. Oh my goodness. Fence gets on a rampage. It is 2 for 1 so far as we continue on. Phoenix gets blind eye. And another turret falls. This is the end of the game. There is nothing Prestige can do about it. Oh my lord. What a finish to that game.
Yeah, very explosive game end there. Both teams clashing in one final bout. We saw the engage attempt from the Rakan wasn't able to get anybody with the battle dance, but then Aiden coming in super speed, flashes in, landing a 3-man Tibbers as well to lock down, multiple key members there from Moanalua. And then the Zaya damage just so huge at that portion of the game. Not enough armor statistics to try and cut through it. Really surviving all of the counter engage too. We saw multiple members, the Shen and the Rumble, both being within melee range of her, and neither of them being able to take her down. And once everybody else is gone, the only ones left are the ones to take the Nexus available. And that is it, folks. That was a 2-for-1 series today, and that is going to be Theodore being your grand champions here.
Yes, congratulations to Roosevelt High. They really, stuck it through that series. It's a very, long process, right? When you're not used to the best of 3 format, it's very mentally taxing to, win a game, lose a game, get yourself ready to go for game 3. But they managed to just hold on in the end. And really what it was, in my estimation, when they got that team fight around the Dragon Pit and they just aced, it was absolutely phenomenal. It really set them up for the rest of the game. Credit to Moanalua. They were able to have a great amount of objective control early, but that game turned right on that one fight. And from there, I don't think Moanalua ever really recovered.
Yeah, and so we are going to be getting an interview with Connor here from the winning squad.
Wait, they still got Connor. Oh no.
Well, so it's actually Benny. I saw that in our chat, our producer chat, which is the top laner, Ben. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing fine.
Just fine. After you're our grand
Yeah.
champion now?
Yeah, I'm feeling. I don't really know how to feel. Like, yeah, we won championships, but this is the first because we lost our first championships towards Moanalua. But now we got, like, I guess our revenge in a way. Yeah, it feels great.
I would certainly hope it feels great. I want to ask you, Benny, going into that game 3, you've traded games 1 and 2. Talk to me about the decision to go Zyra Khan. It wasn't something we had seen in any of the previous games, and it went absolutely huge in that bottom lane at the end.
So, our thoughts on Zyra Khan, because they banned our supports, like pairing like Cog, Lulu, potentially Zyra Khan, but they didn't have like more options. They also banned our mid Syndra because they had to respect Junhong's Syndra because it's actually quite oppressive and Syndra's a great champion. But they also had first pick, but after they perked their first, we had the option to go with Zyra Khan because we just had those 2 options later. So yeah, it was pretty possible to have our bot lane synergy right there.
Yeah. Now, in the top lane, you kind of had some awkward matchups, Darius into the Shen and then the Camille into the Shen. Those are kind of standard just free farm lanes for you. Was it difficult trying to, pressure the Shen into, making a mistake?
Not really. Like, for the Darius to Shen matchup, since Darius is a lane bully, I think I can just, like have my presence to be, like, around the Shen, and like he's either gonna either think that he can farm or that I just literally just take CS for free and then just scale. But with the Camille Shen matchup, I had to respect the Shen more since Camille's a really weak early game champion, but she can easily farm with her W and she can escape with her E, so I would say playing into Shen isn't the worst matchup for Darius and Camille. It's just that you have to respect your top laner, and Shen's quite a champion that can actually do quite a bit of damage if you don't respect his Q, his shields from his passive, the block, and his taunt. So I think it's pretty easy if you can respect Shen more than other people might not expect.
And Benny, I know that you're a very experienced player. You're a senior, of course. I know you've played multiple seasons here on PlayVS, and this is, from my understanding, actually your second title. I want to ask you, on a broader sense, how has your experience been with PlayVS? Playing with your classmates and your friend at your school, being able to represent in that way. Obviously doing very well and succeeding. How's your experience been with the program so far?
I feel like it's pretty decent. Like, it's not the worst program. Like, this is my first time participating in a program like this. Like, I've never done tournaments before, so I don't really have like a glimpse or an idea of what's gonna go down. But overall, I think it's okay, in my opinion.
All right. And so as you graduate and continue on, are you looking to go for like a potential collegiate or maybe even academy spot as it continues on?
I do tend to go into an esports club in like UH Manoa since I'm gonna try play more. But since I still have like a really high interest in like League of Legends still, so maybe I can move that interest into an esports club like in UH Manoa, so I can do well not only in college but video games like League as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Benny, for hopping on the desk with us. Unfortunately, we're a little short of time here, so we're going to head out in just a moment, but I just wanted to again say congratulations and good luck in the future. You guys put on a great show for us today. It was really awesome.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
All right,
And yeah,
Matt,
that's,
I I think that just about does it for us today. Once again, congratulations to Theodore Roosevelt High there, coming out with the big W pretty successfully there in that game 3 as well, making great use of that Annie, Zaya, Rakan combination. And once again, it's just been a pleasure being on the desk for PlayVS once again, and being able to show our passion in the game that has given these kids so much.
Yes, absolutely. It has been our purest pleasure to be with you, ladies and gentlemen. That will conclude it here on the desk for us. It's been a long day. We've been all across the nation covering all sorts of different events. I've had so much fun. Guys, here's the thing. If you're watching this right now and you're interested in competing in the future, check out the links below in the channel. You can go to PlayVS website. Registration is open for the fall. So if this is something you want to bring to your school, talk to your parents, talk to your teachers, talk to your administrators, get it going. Don't be afraid to be the start. But that'll do it here. I'm Perino. That is my friend, the doctor. It has once again been our pleasure, and we will catch you next time, guys. Thank you.